Immortal Cultivation family, starting with extreme effort to gain experience. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126, Siege. Luyat and the Jade Mantis, with such terrifying speed, would crush any of them. Fortunately, the Jade Mantis did not target other people. Otherwise, almost no one would survive under its hands. Luyat panted twice, always locking on the green in the beast tide, fearing that it would attack again. But after waiting for a few breaths, the green shadow became farther and farther, and soon disappeared in the beast tide in the distance. Only then did Luyat finally relax. Turning his head and looking behind him, the Earth Dragon team had already walked half of the way. The three talents formation formed by the key training monks below continued to kill various first-level monsters, and many foundation-building monks were trying their best to hold back the second-level monsters that were far superior to their own. Although everyone was trying hard to kill the monsters, the battlefield was still pushed back by the beast tide, just like a ship under the endless waves. A sword killed a first-level intermediate green wood wolf. Lu Yuan had no time to wipe off the blood that splashed on his face. The vacancy left by the dead green wood wolf was squeezed in by 3 green wood wolves. Dai, a casual cultivator of the 6th level of key training, roared, squeezing out the little mana in his body and driving the magic weapon to attack a monster. Li Xiaozi was dragging 2 second-level high-level monsters by himself at this moment, but he could only watch his family members being gradually swallowed by the beast tide. Quick, quick, quick. Everyone throw the supplies off the frame, hurry up. Lu Yang's eyes were red, and he quickly returned to the frame, threw a large amount of supplies off the frame, and kept urging the ground dragon under him. Even if he didn't look back, he knew how tragic the situation behind him was. Every bit faster they went, the possibility of survival for those tribesmen who blocked the monsters would increase. As the burden was quickly reduced, the speed of the ground dragon was getting faster and faster, and the gate of Yang's city was already in sight. Chu Lidi followed Lu Hong and others to throw supplies out of the frame quickly, while looking back at the crowd fighting the monsters, his eyes full of worry. With his eyesight at the moment, he could only see Lu Ya's representative flame blooming in the beast tide for a few breaths, and then disappeared. This made him feel heavy in his heart. Lu Yang stood on the magic weapon and kept issuing orders in midair. After entering the city, immediately closed the city gates. All mortals try to run away from the city gates. We may not be able to take care of you next. Haven't entered the city yet? I can't stop it. The bearded man punched back a monster that intended to bite him, quickly glanced back, and then roared loudly. Hold on, as long as the first earth dragon enters the city, we can retreat immediately. Not far away from him, Lu Feng, wearing a top-grade robe and holding a top-grade magic sword, fought hard to kill the monsters while loudly responding to the roar of the bearded man. The members of the Lu family are generally well-equipped, and they have prepared a lot of elixirs, and they take care of each other. Therefore, even though the beast tide was very strong, so far only people were seriously injured, and no one died. On the contrary, both the recruited war servants and the independent cultivators following the team suffered casualties. Among them, the independent cultivators following the team suffered the most serious casualties. After the Jade Mantis disappeared, Lu Ya did not relax his vigilance. He stuck close to Modu's side, and at the same time continuously shot out golden sword energy, quickly harvesting the lives of the monsters. During the battle, the light red color of the golden sword energy gradually deepened, and its penetration and attack power were also slowly increasing. With Lu Ya's support, the pressure on the rest of the foundation building was suddenly reduced, and there were more monsters to deal with. Lu Dingbo kept an eye on the team's progress. At this moment, when he saw a ground dragon rushing into the city gate, he immediately gave a loud order. All cultivators, after 3 breaths, burst out with all your strength, and then evacuate to Yang's city. The voice was wrapped in mana, and even in such a chaotic battlefield, it was still clearly transmitted to everyone's ears. The bearded man's eyes lit up, and at this moment, a deep claw wound appeared on his chest, which was the price he paid for killing 3 green wood wolves. Damn it, I thought my 9th level cultivation would end here. 3 breaths of time passed in an instant, and everyone simultaneously used their magic weapons. Because they had prepared in advance, this attack was particularly powerful. The row of monsters in front of them were directly knocked to the ground. Although the monsters behind them quickly replenished, there was still a moment of stagnation. At this time, all the remaining monks withdrew and retreated quickly. At this moment, they wished that their parents had given them 2 more legs so that they could run faster. The ground dragon quickly entered the city, and the monks who blocked the monsters drove their magic weapons towards the distant city gate. Liu Yan and Modu blocked all the monsters. Facing the incoming monsters, Liu Yan, whose magic power had recovered by more than half, opened his mouth and spit out a sea of fire from his mouth. Boom! The sea of fire was like a barrier, blocking the monsters outside the sea of fire. All the monsters that stepped into the sea of fire were burned to ashes. There was no other ending. After 3 full breaths, feeling that less than 30% of the mana in his body was left, Liu Yan retracted the sun's true fire and quickly fled the scene on the Modu. Liu Yan watched one earth dragon after another enter the city gate and shouted loudly, "Quick, mortals, run inside!" All monks immediately climbed the city wall and prepared to welcome the monsters. When the last earth dragon entered, the beast tied outside was less than 300 meters away from Yuan's city. "Close the city gate," Liu Yang roared, and the heavy city gate slowly closed under the drive of the magic circle. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The retreating monks took off one by one and flew towards the top of the city wall. When all the monks stood on the wall, Liu Ya stepped on the Modu and fell from the sky. Under Lu Dingbo's command, all the monks had already filled up a 300-meter-long section of the wall, watching the monsters gradually climbing up the 15-meter-high wall. They were relieved that the monsters didn't climb up the wall in the first place. If they stood up and the monsters climbed up the wall right after them, then all they did would be meaningless. Some strong young men were holding a large number of jade bottles and shuttling back and forth between the monks. "Quick! Take a bottle of healing pills each, and guard here from now on. As long as the city is not broken, there is a chance of survival," Lu Dingbo said loudly, and at the same time swallowed a recovery pill to recover his mana. Before he finished speaking, the rough roar of the beast was already close to his ears. A monster climbed up the wall. Liu Ya pointed with one finger, and the monster that had just roared had its head shattered, wailing and falling from a height of dozens of meters. Liu Ya stood at the edge of the city wall. Below him were densely packed monsters climbing upwards, their eyes filled with desire for flesh and blood. Chapter 127, The Clan Protection Formation begins. The skill panel appeared in front of Liu Ya. Liu Ya quickly glanced at it and saw that the experience of the Golden Sword Key had reached transformation. 371,891, 400,000, which was very close to the limit of 400,000. And below the city wall, there were still a large number of monsters attacking the city frantically. In his eyes, they were live targets. With this thought, a series of golden sword keys shot down from Liu Ya's hand, constantly killing the monsters below. As the monsters died, Liu Ya's speed of attack became faster and faster, and the color of the golden sword key became more and more bright red. He alone defended a section of the city wall of nearly 50 meters, and no monster could escape the attack of the golden sword key. But he could defend it easily, but it didn't mean that others could do the same. Their foundation building combat power was still too little. The cultivators at the key training level soon ran out of mana under the siege of the first level monsters, who were also comparable to the key training level. Even the other 7 foundation building cultivators began to rest frequently to recover their mana. Not to mention, there were quite a few second-level monsters among the monsters, so all the foundation builders had to devote some of their energy to pay attention to the battle situation in other sections of the city wall, and go to support when necessary. The most terrifying thing was that as time went on, the monsters gradually spread to both sides of the city wall. Until they were beyond the range of everyone's defense, the worst situation still happened, and some monsters entered the city from the wall outside their defense. A python monster successfully climbed the city wall and let out an excited hiss. Before it could kill the nearest human, a red light flew silently and pierced its head directly. Liu Ya frowned. If this continued, with more than 100 cultivators, they would definitely not be able to stop the monsters besieging from all directions. Hurry, 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 don't hold back. A series of urgings, all the cultivators started to fight desperately. For a moment, all kinds of magic spells and magic tools turned into various colors of light, hitting the monsters from top to bottom like a storm, forcibly suppressing the momentum of the monsters' attack on the city. However, this explosion did not last long. After only a moment, the monsters that were originally suppressed approached the top of the city again. At this moment, a hum sound suddenly came from the battlefield where the roars and wailing continued, and everyone saw a golden protective shield burst from the city wall, spreading rapidly until it completely covered this section of the city wall. Lu Yue recognized at a glance that this was their Lu family's Xiangang Xingdao formation. The arrangement of the clan protection formation was not simple, so it was not successfully arranged until this time. As soon as it was successfully arranged, the formation bounced all the monsters away and fell towards the dozens of meters below the city wall. The appearance of the clan protection formation made all the monks' tense nerves relax. They unconsciously stopped their attacks and took the time to recover their lost mana and energy. The cultivation family is still powerful. They can even come up with such a large formation. They finally survived. A war servant looked at the golden light shield outside and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. This pill is also of good quality. Beside him, another war servant swallowed a key restoring pill and praised. That's right, I just hope that these monsters will retreat quickly and stop stubbornly fighting with us. Before he finished speaking, his eyes suddenly widened and he couldn't help but gasp in his throat. The war servant next to him didn't understand why, and followed his gaze. He almost vomited the key restoring pill he had just swallowed. Behind the beast hide, one after another huge monster with a fascinating breath was stirring up its demonic power and flew towards the city wall. 4 second-level peak monsters. 7 second-level high-level monsters. A Li family key training late stage trembled and said, the number of foundation building people in a general sect is at least a dozen, and at most dozens, and the higher the cultivation level, the fewer the number. The strength of the opposite side, except for the golden core, is enough to clean up the general sect from top to bottom. It can't be stopped, absolutely can't be stopped. Why should I follow this team? You killed me. A casual cultivator with messy hair and distracted eyes kept roaring unconsciously, looking at everything around with resentment. Puff, a red light flew over and shot directly into the head of the casual cultivator. He immediately trembled all over, blood flowed out, and fell to the ground silently. HMPH, Lu Yue snorted coldly, his eyes swept over all the casual cultivators, and the strength of the foundation was released without reservation. All the casual cultivators who looked at him quickly lowered their heads. Seeing that no one dared to look him in the eye, Lu Yue said in a cold voice, our two clans allow you to follow us because we hope that you can win a future with this, rather than letting you blame and hate us. I hope you will take this as a warning. Such a thundering method made some of the scattered cultivators who were resentful after being trapped in a dead end immediately understand their current situation, and the trace of emotion that should not have existed quickly dissipated. Lu Yue said no more, turned around and stepped out of the Xiangang star ray. His golden sword energy was almost at the maximum level, and he had to hurry. Lu clan members, listen to my order, enter the array, and form the 36 Xiangang array. Lu Dingbo's loud voice rang out in the array, and many Lu clan members quickly found their positions and stood according to the formation they had rehearsed in the past, linking their own mana to the array to provide a stronger protective ability for the array. Everyone, our Lu family's Xiangang formation is enough to resist 3 or 5 late-stage foundation building cultivators. Even if we encounter attacks from more than 10 high-level monsters, we can hold out for a while with our bodies as the formation. The next defense will be handed over to you. After the voice fell, Lu Dingbo turned around and walked to the core array plate and sat cross-legged, pouring mana into the array plate continuously. The others felt relieved after hearing this, but they still looked at the monsters that had arrived outside the formation with worry. At this moment, outside the formation, a large number of monsters had climbed onto the protective shield formed by the clan protection formation. The smelly saliva and eager eyes stared at everyone through the protective shield, which made many young cultivators shudder. Lu Yue simply stretched out his arms from the formation, and golden sword energy shot out in all directions. With such a high density of distribution, even if he didn't aim, the flying sword energy would still hit an unlucky beast. Roar! A roar came from the mouth of a one-legged green bull in the lead. The mooing of the cow resounded through the heavens and earth, like a muffled thunder, causing pain in the eardrums of everyone in the formation. There were also tiny flashes of lightning that exploded, as if the might of heaven had descended. Li Ziazi took a closer look at it, and then his face suddenly changed. This is actually a beast with the blood of the mythical beast Queen Yu. This kind of beast is much stronger than the monsters of the same level, and may even fight across levels. It may even have bloodline magical powers. Everyone, remember to vote. Chapter 128, The Horrifying Bloodline of a Divine Beast. As if to confirm his words, The spiritual energy of heaven and earth fluctuated sharply. The originally clear weather suddenly became dark, and large patches of dark clouds gathered and completely enveloped the gate of Yuan's city. Such a terrifying aura that could change the world made many monks who had just put their hearts back in their stomachs raise their hearts to their throats again. They looked at the protective shield outside with concern, wondering if this layer of protective shield could stop this group of big monsters led by the descendants of the divine beast. Li Xiaozi shouted at Li Shaoan in a stern voice, "Quick, Li Shaoan, speed up the arrangement of the clan protection formation, we can't wait any longer." Originally, his idea was to wait until the Lu family could no longer hold on, and then switch to their Li family's clan protection formation. In this way, the two will take turns and extend the resistance time. But now that the descendants of the Kenyu bloodline have appeared, they can't hold back. Li Shao speeded up the deployment while cursing, damn it, why is there a descendant of a divine beast here? Even if it is just a trace of blood inheritance, it is still a descendant of a divine beast, far from what we can resist. Why did it appear now, and there was no trace before? The performance of the one-legged green bull brought great panic to the monks guarding the city. Especially in the dense dark clouds in the sky, the wisps of electric light wandering around magnified this panic several times. Lu Ye also returned to the big formation at this moment, and his hand kept firing golden sword energy at the wall below. He looked up at the various monsters that were frantically attacking the big formation, and the one-horned green bull that was alone above many monsters, and frowned even more. I still need nearly 20,000 experience points before my golden sword energy can reach the limit of the transformation realm. I don't know if it will be in time. 20,000 experience points, not too much, but not too little. If he tried his best to brush it, with his current foundation building mana, it would only take 3 days at most to brush it up. If he paid a certain price, the speed could be further improved. Patriarch, buy me some time. Lu Ye appeared beside Lu Dingbo and said. Lu Dingbo held the array plate and looked at Lu Ye. He didn't ask the reason, but nodded firmly. After getting Lu Dingbo's reply, Lu Ye flashed again and rushed into the tower beside him. He quickly sat cross-legged, swallowed a key-boosting pill, and began to shoot golden sword energy frantically. The experience of the golden sword energy began to rise rapidly, gradually approaching the 400,000 mark. Lu Ye's actions were seen by many people, but they didn't understand why he rushed into the tower. At this moment, the Lu family's protective array was almost filled with crazy monsters. The dark monsters overlapped one after another, constantly biting the protective shield with their claws and teeth. The inside of the array was almost pitch dark. However, the 36 Lu family monks who formed the formation did not care too much. They just used the formation to keep an eye on the movements of those high-level monsters. As long as those high-level monsters did not participate in the attack, relying on the second-level high-level formation of the Xiangang Star Array, it was completely possible to block these low-level monsters for several hours. However, this possibility did not exist at all. Outside the clan protection formation, the one-legged green bull looked at the dark clouds that had completely gathered in the sky, and a trace of brutality flashed in its bull eyes. Then the one leg under it that supported its huge body suddenly bent, and the demon power burst out instantly. The next second it rushed straight into the sky. Its huge body rushed into the dark clouds, and then the lightning snakes wandering in the dark clouds all gathered towards its location. In just a few breaths, a huge thunderball quickly formed with the one-legged green bull as the center. Lightning surrounded its body, flowed along its body, and finally gathered on its one leg. Moo! It roared again with a tyrannical roar, and its huge body suddenly fell to the ground. From a distance, it looked like a blue comet, carrying the momentum of destroying the world, crashing into the earth. In the formation, the people of the Lu family who had seen this scene with the help of the formation changed their expressions. Without Lu Dingbo's words, everyone desperately poured their magic power into the formation. Just when the others were confused, they heard a loud bang from above their heads. It was followed by a huge force. Many monks with lower cultivation were caught off guard and fell to the ground. Some even had black eyes and fainted. The clan protection formation seemed to have been attacked by an intercontinental missile. The semicircular protective shield was now concave inward, and the various monsters lying on the protective shield and constantly attacking were easily blown away like flowers scattered by fairies. What fell into everyone's eyes was only a group of dazzling lightning and a pillar of heaven. That's right, the pillar of heaven. This is the horror of the beast with a trace of divine beast blood. Almost single-handedly, It broke the formation that would take 3 or 5 people of this same level a lot of time to break. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of Lu Dingbo's mouth, and his face turned pale. As the core of the formation, he suffered the greatest impact. Even though he was in the foundation building stage, he suffered a lot of injuries. As for the other 35 people, 5 of them spurted out blood and fell to the ground. 5 of the 36 star patterns on the formation dimmed instantly, and the protective shield also dimmed a bit. The sky pillar continued to fall, and the dent of the protective shield became more and more serious, as if it would burst like a soap bubble squeezed to the limit in the next second. Hold it, as if hearing the roar of the crowd, the protective shield bounced the sky pillar back with a bang, and the formation returned to its original semicircle. Seeing the sky pillar return to the dark clouds, everyone's expression became solemn, because they knew that this was definitely not the end. In the tower, this horrible fluctuation naturally could not escape Lu Ye's perception, but at this moment he had no time to care, and could only release the golden sword energy again and again without regard for the consequences. The high frequency of mana rushing from his 10 fingers had already caused his fingers to gradually swell, and even strands of blood had broken through the skin and seeped out of the body surface. The piercing pain did not affect Lu Ye at all. Faster, faster, while casting the golden sword energy, while watching the experience points continue to increase, Lu Ye wished he could have a few more hands to cast together. Soon, a meteor appeared again in the eyes of Lu Dingbo and others. Defense, the hoarse roar was drowned out by the huge crash that followed. The protective shield sank again and returned to normal. After 2 consecutive unsuccessful returns, the one-horned green bull's eyes were full of fierceness. It was seen that it roared at the other 3 second-level peak monsters, and then rushed straight into the sky without looking back. Everyone, remember to vote. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129, Formation Broken. The 3 second-level peak monsters that had been standing by and watching saw this and instantly entered combat gear, rushing towards the protective shield and bombarding the clan protection formation. Under the attack of the 3 monsters, the clan protection formation kept shaking and became increasingly dim. Moo! The roar of the one-legged green bull was heard again above the sky, and a large piece of lightning quickly gathered towards the center. If it was allowed to fall, this protective formation would definitely not be able to hold on. It can't hold on anymore, I'll go and stop it. Li Shaoan, hurry up. Li's eyes widened, and he slapped his storage bag with one hand, and a magic sword with a heavy aura appeared in his hand. With a magic sword in hand, Li's original old body instantly straightened up, and his momentum rose steadily. Without him casting a spell, the magic sword grew in the wind and instantly turned into a huge black and yellow sword over 3 feet long. The powerful mana poured into the giant sword without reservation. Li Ziazi held his hands in the air, and the Zuan Huang giant sword spun wildly above his head. The surrounding air was torn into pieces by the rapidly rotating giant sword. Go! When the Zuan Huang giant sword spun to the highest peak, Li Ziazi shouted angrily, and followed the sword. In an instant, he rushed out of the formation and rushed towards the thunder meteor falling from the sky without reservation. The 3 second-level peak monsters that were originally attacking the formation flashed away the moment the giant sword rushed out, staring at the giant sword with fear. Without the obstruction of the 3 second-level peak monsters, Li Ziazi was very calm, and his consciousness locked onto the thunder meteor above his head. With a thud, the Zuan Huang giant sword turned into a residual image and disappeared in front of him. Boom! The giant sword and the meteor transformed by the one-legged green bull collided instantly. In just a moment, a magnificent wave radiated wildly from the place where the two touched. The dazzling light almost made the spectators unable to open their eyes. The heaven and earth were in a state of solemnity, and the dark clouds in the sky were torn into pieces by the fierce force. When the light faded, everyone saw that the magic sword, which had returned to its original size, was spinning and falling towards Li Ziazi. Li Ziazi himself was struck by lightning and fell towards the clan protection formation below like a cannonball. If he fell hard, even with his late foundation building cultivation, he would definitely not be able to get away with it. Li Shaoxin gritted his teeth and soared into the sky in an instant. While in the air, He threw a large number of talismans at the three monsters that were staring at him. For a while, fireballs, ice cones, and lightning submerged them. Bang! Li Shaozhen took advantage of this opportunity to try his best to catch the falling Li Xiaozi, and then the two quickly returned to the formation. Li Xiaozi waved his hand, signaling Li Shaozhen to do his own thing, and then quickly sat cross-legged, took out the healing pill and took it. Seeing that Li Xiaozi, who had the highest cultivation, was fine, everyone had time to look up at the one-legged green bull. The one-legged green bull stood on one foot on the air, the thunder in its eyes was almost about to overflow. And on the bottom of its foot, the originally hard bull hoof had a very deep wound, and large drops of blood kept dripping down. The good news is that Li Xiaozi successfully blocked the attack of the one-legged green bull this time, and the formation could not be broken for the time being. The bad news is that Li Xiaozi, who has the highest cultivation on their side, has temporarily lost his combat effectiveness, and it seems that he has made the one-legged green bull even more furious, which can be seen from the lightning that has overflowed from its eyes. Everyone's heart suddenly trembled, and an idea emerged from their minds involuntarily. It's over. The next second, the huge body of the one-legged green bull shook, and the vast demonic energy exploded from his body, and a wild and fierce breath rushed straight into the sky. The demonic energy mixed with a fierce breath, behind it, under the sky, formed a 10,000-foot phantom that seemed to exist and not exist. The phantom was green all over, with 1 foot and no horns, and his face could not be seen clearly, but his eyes seemed to be like the sun and the moon in the sky, flowing with the light of time. This is the phantom of the mythical beast Queen Yu, descendant of the mythical beast, one after another exclaimed, filled with shock and despair. The mythical beasts are legendary beings, each of which possesses terrifying power that can change the world and overturn mountains and seas. As their descendants, even if they are not as powerful as them, they are still not something that these casual cultivators can contend with. The phantom of the Queen Yu closed its eyes, and the sun and the moon disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Then, the wind whistled, the water vapor evaporated, and the sky quickly darkened. Ding dong, a drop of rain fell on the protective shield, making an unexpected loud noise. Then, everyone in the protective shield saw that the wind swept all over the fields, and the raindrops poured down and whistled. The protective shield immediately trembled endlessly, as if a war drum was constantly being beaten. At this moment, the 31 people who maintained the formation only felt that huge hammers were constantly hammering on their souls, causing severe pain in their heads and almost shattering their souls. But even so, no one gave up. Everyone tried their best to infuse their magic power into the formation to maintain its operation. Chi. Lu Dingbo turned his head and looked at the tower. At this moment, sword energy was constantly shooting out of the tower. The wall was already riddled with holes, but he didn't know what Lu Yer was doing in it. Then his eyes became fierce. No matter what Lu Yer was doing, they had to buy him time. Lu clan members, listen to my order. Buy time for Lu Ya at all costs. His voice was transmitted to the minds of all the clan members who made up the formation through the Xiangang star array, and his determination was also felt by everyone. 1 breath, 2 breaths, time has never been so long. Puff, a member of the Lu clan could no longer hold on, spurting blood from his mouth, his face pale, and then he completely fainted. As if he had set a precedent, people kept falling down after him. A quarter of an hour later, the light of the Xiangang star array had dimmed to the limit, and only 9 of the 36 stars were still bright. Patriarch Lu, it's our turn. Li Shaoan pressed the spirit stone in his hand hard on the array plate on the ground, and a protective shield rose again. Then he shouted loudly at Lu Dingbo. Lu Dingbo's face was pale and bloodless at this moment. He only nodded slightly when he heard it, and then his mind moved, and the protective array of the clan was instantly closed. Plop. Plop. After the array was closed, the remaining 9 people could no longer hold on and fell to the ground one after another. The monks beside them hurried forward, helped them up one by one, and used their magic power to force them to take healing pills and key replenishing pills. Moo, the one-legged green bull saw the protective shield retracted, but before he had time to be happy, he saw a protective shield rise again, and couldn't help but let out a thunderous roar. The rain became heavier and the wind was howling. Li Shaoan maintained the protective array of the clan, and his face quickly turned from green to white. Before, he didn't think much of it when he just watched the Lu family resist the one-legged green bull, but when it was his turn to face the other party, he truly understood the horror of the other party as a descendant of a divine beast. Moreover, Their Li family's protective formation was only a second-level intermediate formation, and its protective ability was not as good as Lu's. He barely held on for a stick of incense, and in the horrified eyes of the crowd, the Li family's protective formation disappeared like a soap bubble. Everyone, remember to vote. Chapter 130, Supernatural Power is Achieved. This scene fell into everyone's eyes, and they felt endless coldness in their hearts. In just a few hours, they had reached the point of exhaustion. The monks died or were injured. The foundation-building monks, who were the pillars of the crowd, also almost lost their combat effectiveness at this moment. The clan protection formation that originally gave everyone hope was broken by the one-legged green bull. Some people looked at the tower. They all saw Lu Ye's performance. At this moment, they unconsciously placed their hopes on Lu Ye. In the tower, Lu Ye was still sitting cross-legged. Beside him, more than a dozen empty jade bottles were scattered on the side. The key replenishing pills in them had long been consumed. His hands were bloody, and his 10 fingers were as thick as carrots. Every time he raised his hand to shoot out the golden sword energy, it would cause a piercing pain. But even so, he still did not stop and quickly released the golden sword energy. Faster, faster, Lu Ye's calm eyes were full of bloodshot, and he stared at the skill panel in front of him. At this moment, on the skill panel, the experience of the golden sword energy rolled rapidly like a roller, and the experience growth rate almost reached the speed of twice per second. Go faster, everyone listen to my order, defend the tower to the death. The moment the Li family's protective formation was broken, Lu Dingbo shouted loudly, flashed to the main gate of the tower, and forcibly activated the Xiangang star array in his hand. The protective shield appeared again, covering the surroundings of the tower. As long as the Lu family members were able to move, they heard Lu Dingbo's order and rushed to the outer wall of the tower when the protective shield appeared. The remaining monks, after seeing the protective shield, didn't care why they had to defend the tower to the death, and just quickly rushed into the protective shield. In just a few breaths, everyone on the city wall rushed to the tower, and the small protective shield was filled with monks. It was not until this time that the monsters under the city wall rushed to the top of the city wall, and several high-level monsters in the sky also landed in front of all the monsters. Looking at the panicked monks in the protective shield, a trace of disdain and anger flashed in the eyes of the one-legged green bull. The disdain was directed at these human monks, and the anger was directed at Modu, who was entrenched on the top of the tower. The blood of the Mojiano is not a bad blood. Why do you degenerate and willingly be enslaved by the human race? The loud and deep voice, full of anger, sounded in Modu's mind. Modu looked at the one-legged green bull in the lead with his icy snake pupils. The snake's tongue slowly moved in and out several times before it raised its head and sent out a spiritual voice. What I do has nothing to do with you? You little brat whose hair hasn't even grown out yet, you'd better go back and stay in your den honestly. Otherwise, when my young master comes out of seclusion, you won't be able to leave even if you want to, your young master. Stupid. A flash of lightning flashed in the one-legged green bull's eyes, and it was furious. A mere human race is worthy of being compared with me. My mother is now following the demon god to fight against the human forces. This land will soon be the world of my demon race, and the human race will become our food, slaves, and playthings. An old loach dares to speak so arrogantly. Modu just raised his upper body and looked down at the one-legged green bull. Come if you have the guts, don't regret it. The cold and confident tone made the one-legged green bull almost mad with anger. If Lu Yan knew this, he would definitely say listen to me saying thank you to Modu. Moo, an angry bull roared, followed by the roar of all beasts. The one-legged green bull was wrapped in thunder, and a pair of horns that reached the sky hit the protective shield heavily. The protective shield set off waves, and before it could calm down, the attacks of various monsters behind it followed one after another. The ripples suddenly turned into a storm, and the people in the protective shield kept retreating, fearing that the protective shield would break in the next second. Lu Dingbo held the core of the array tightly, looking at the cracks that kept appearing on it, knowing that this array would be completely scrapped in half a quarter of an hour at most. Everyone listen carefully. After half a quarter of an hour, the array will break, and then I will take the initiative to detonate the array and temporarily repel the monsters. At that time, you can only wish for good luck. Lu Dingbo's voice made the others look even uglier, but no one said anything. Everyone present was a wise man, and as a teammate, Lu Dingbo's approach was already reliable. If it was placed somewhere else, they might not know this information until the formation was broken. Everyone no longer had any luck and began to swallow the elixir, adjust their breath, or hold the magic weapon in their hands, or hold the talisman in their palms. Boom. 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 Under the dense bombardment, the people in the protective shield were silent, obviously ready to fight for their lives. It's almost there, it's almost there. Lu Dingbo clenched his hands, and his magic power connected to the core of the formation disk, ready to explode at any time. Another collision. Lu Dingbo no longer hesitated, and shouted with murderous intent, and blatantly blew up the valuable formation disk core in his hand. The protective shield formed by the clan protection formation was almost broken under the attack of many monsters. With the injection of this spiritual energy, it suddenly regained its vitality, and the protective shield was golden. In the eyes of the monsters who were confused, there was a loud boom, and then a visible spiritual power shock wave spread in all directions with a protective shield as the boundary. The sudden change was beyond the expectations of all the monsters. Under the impact of this spiritual energy, except for a few monsters, the rest were shaken away 100 meters, and some were even killed alive. Moo. Don't leave any, the one-legged green bull roared, and then gave an order. As for itself, it rushed towards the roof where Modu was. Modu was not to be outdone. He swung his huge body and rushed towards the one-legged green bull from a high position. Kill, go. Once the formation was broken, the monks who had been prepared immediately fled in all directions like hornets whose nests were blown up. Only the Lu family, the Li family and a few independent cultivators still held on in front of the city tower. However, facing the surging monsters and 3 peak second-level monsters, their resistance seemed so pale and powerless. Bang! Modu's huge body hit the city wall heavily. Lightning roamed all over his body, and half of his snake scales were shattered. The one-horned green bull stepped on its body, lowered its huge head and looked at it, and said in a loud voice, "Old Loach, is this all you have? Where is your human master? Why doesn't he come to save you?" Modu struggled hard, but the one-legged green bull's horn was like a pillar of heaven, pressing it to the ground, unable to move at all. "I'll do it." Lu Dinghe pulled over Lu Dingbo, who had already run out of energy. His muscles were knotted on his body like a giant spirit, emitting a light red burning magic power. With one punch, he knocked back a second-level monster that rushed over for several meters. Beside him, Lu Feng, Lu Yuan and others were wearing top-grade magic weapons and fighting the monsters hard. Blood gradually stained his robes red, his fists became heavier, and there were fewer and fewer people standing behind him. A black shadow flashed before Lu Dinghe's eyes, and he instinctively stretched out his hands to resist. He only felt a huge force transmitted from his arms to all parts of his body, and then his eyes went black, and he flew backwards, bumping into several monks before he fell heavily on the outer wall of the tower. It took several breaths for him to slowly slide down. Looking at the leopard-type second-level advanced monster that had revealed its figure, Lu Dinghe had a bitter face. The gap was too big. There was almost no way to fight. A trace of cruelty flashed in the leopard monster's eyes. With a light step, its agile and huge body suddenly disappeared. When it reappeared, it was already in front of Lu Dinghe, and its canine teeth like swords and halberds were only a moment away from Lu Dingbo. Swish! A deep red finger force shot out from the tower and hit the leopard monster's canine teeth in a hair's breadth. The strange force contained in it knocked it back several steps. Lu Dinghe turned around suddenly and saw Lu Yu sitting cross-legged in the air in the dim tower, with his swollen fingers pointing in his direction. Finally caught up, Lu Yu didn't have time to feel the joy of the birth of his magical power. He endured the severe pain and his hands were like lightning. A series of deep red finger forces shot towards all the monsters within his sight. The people who were fighting against the monsters only heard a series of puff sounds, and then saw that the monster in front of them suddenly had a blood hole in its vital part, and then the breath disappeared instantly, and it was dead and could not die anymore. Chapter 131 The Power of Destruction. Time went back to the moment when Lu Dinghe was knocked away. In the tower, Lu Ya once again fired a golden sword energy, and finally maxed out the 400,000 experience points. So, naturally, the golden sword energy began to transform. This time the transformation was so swift and so fast that Lu Ya didn't even react, and the golden sword energy had already transformed. Magic power, life-destroying finger, born. Without time to think carefully, Lu Ya fired a life-destroying finger and saved Lu Dinghe from the leopard's mouth. Then he raised his severely injured finger, and with a thought, the life-destroying finger shot out again. This time Lu Ya saw it very clearly. After the life-destroying finger flew out, it suddenly disappeared into the air. After a few flashes, it was already in front of the target. It seemed to have crossed the space and appeared out of thin air at the target's vital point. Huh? What is this? Lu Yan narrowed his eyes, and he saw that a wisp of red breath thinner than a hair appeared out of thin air on all the monsters killed by the life-destroying finger. As soon as the aura appeared, it swarmed towards Lu Yan like a young swallow flying into the forest. Lu Yan held one hand across his body, trying to block these red lines that appeared out of thin air, but the moment the red lines touched his palm, they sank into his body. When Lu Yan saw the red lines sinking directly into his palm, his face changed drastically, and he quickly retracted his palm, but found that his palm was the same as before. Letting this red line of unknown origin enter the body, who knows what the consequences will be. But the next second, a tiny but pure mana was fed back into his Danshin Ki Si, and a sense of enlightenment immediately emerged in his heart. Lu Yan immediately understood that these thin red lines were born after the finger of extermination killed the target, and they were the collection of the target's life, cause and effect, luck and cultivation. The birth of this red line means that all the life, cause and effect of the target are all condensed together. A polymer of cause and effect, life, and destiny? Let's call it life thread. These life threads seemed to be put into his body, but in fact they were put into his finger of extinction. Like nutrients, they were absorbed by him, and the finger of extinction would slowly improve, and he would also benefit from it. In other words, for Lu Yan, once this red thread of destiny was absorbed by the finger of extinction, it meant that the other party's cause and effect were also absorbed and digested out of thin air, leaving no trace in the world. This discovery made Lu Yan feel much more at ease. Because this is a mysterious world of cultivation, there might be some big guys who can use some cause and effect, some divination and other methods. Once he kills the other party's people, the other party will use this method and almost catch one, and they can't escape at all. And his finger of extinction is not only elusive and powerful, but also can eliminate cause and effect, destiny, etc. It is indeed the best means for killing and arson and fighting in the world of cultivation. It takes a long time to say, but for Lu Yan, it is just a short moment. After realizing the specific effect of the finger of extinction, Lu Yan no longer has any worries. He moved and rushed out of the already broken tower. Before the people outside the tower recovered from the sudden death of the monster beast, they felt a flash in front of their eyes, and saw a figure standing with his hands behind his back appearing in front of them. Lu Yan, be careful, that one-legged green bull is the descendant of a divine beast. Lu Linghe covered his chest, lying among the rubble, and shouted loudly to Lu Yan. Lu Yan looked at the one-horned green bull that was torturing Modu, and his eyes were filled with eager fire. You go into the tower and guard the main exit, and leave the rest to me, Daoyalu. Don't be careless, I will fight the enemy with you. Li Ziazi looked pale at this moment, but better than before, and he immediately spoke up when he heard it. Old Li has worked hard, you should heal your wounds and rest for a while. Lu Yan shook his head. After speaking, he didn't wait for the others to say anything, and took a step forward, with a howling wind and swaying flames. Everyone saw in a trance that in the violent wind that connected the sky and the earth, a domineering golden sun was rising slowly. The golden sun shone on the 4 poles and 8 wastelands, and strands of orange-red sunlight also fell from the golden sun to the world. The orange-red sunlight fell on the body of the monster, and everyone saw that a bunch of blood flowers instantly bloomed from the monster. Bathed in the warm sunlight, the monsters fell down one after another with wailing. In just a few breaths, there was no monster standing on the wall. In a place that everyone could not see, Lu Yan saw hundreds of life threads appearing and flying towards him. This time he did not dodge, but faced these life threads calmly, allowing them to crash into his body. When all the life threads were fully integrated into his body, Lu Yan was shocked, and the mana that had been consumed by nearly half was instantly restored to a small half, and even the total amount of mana was slightly improved. He took a moment to look at the skill panel and saw that his realm suddenly increased by 5 experience points, reaching foundation building level 1. 57 out of 100 inches, saving him nearly a month of hard training. It has such an effect. Lu Yan felt a magic power filling his body, and looked at the monsters as if he was looking at family. So warm, so selfless, what else could it be but family? Moo, a soul-stirring cow moo sounded, and Lu Yan turned his head and saw a one-legged green cow in the air outside the city wall, staring at him with a pair of huge cow eyes. It was you who injured Modu. Lu Yan's tone was not the slightest bit fluctuating, and it was as cold as a piece of iron. "Are you the young master that the old loach said?" The one-legged green cow's magic power shook the air, and mixed with a divine consciousness, it sent out a deafening sound. "Are you the descendant of the mythical beast Queen Yu?" Lu Ya carefully looked it up and down, with surprise in his eyes. For this creature that only existed in myths in his past and present lives, he only had a little understanding of it from books. Seeing it for the first time, he could not help but marvel. The one-legged blue bull supported its huge blue body, and its two horns were like two halberds, flashing sharp cold light. Its pair of thunder-like eyes could vaguely see the rotation of the sun and the moon. It was indeed extraordinary. Although the one-legged blue bull did not understand Lu Ya's eyes, it was very uncomfortable. So it stopped suppressing its own breath, and its one-legged blue bull dropped heavily, and a visible ripple quickly spread from the place where it fell towards Lu Ya. "Go. Tear this humble human alive," it gave an order, and the monsters in the sky were like water. Whether they were all great monsters at the peak of the second level or the lowest first-level monsters, they all roared and rushed towards the sun that Lu Ya had transformed into. Looking at the beast-hide that seemed like a tsunami, Lu Ya's eyes were cold, and he just stretched out his finger calmly, and a ray of deep red emerged from his fingertips. The finger of extinction, destroy all life, and slaughter all things. Dear all, remember to vote. Chapter 132 Descendants of the Divine Beast, destroyed. Half a quarter of an hour later, at the top of a tall mountain, Lu Ya was covered in blood, but his expression remained calm. At the foot of the mountain, there were all kinds of monsters standing still. No matter how the big monsters such as the one-legged green bull urged or threatened them, none of them dared to take a step forward. They raised their heads and looked at the mountain made of corpses of their own kind. Their forelegs trembled, and their young hearts were frightened in an inhuman way. For a full half a quarter of an hour, they attacked the humans in the air for half a quarter of an hour, but they were killed by the other side without missing anyone. Even the jade mantis, who was hiding in the group of monsters and trying to repeat the same trick, had fallen into the mountain of corpses made of monsters. On its inverted triangle forehead, a round blood hole was so eye-catching. Roar! Seeing this, the one-horned green bull stomped heavily on the ground with one foot. Lu Ya looked down at it from a high place, and under the gaze of all living beings, he slowly stepped down. It would have been fine if he didn't move. As soon as he moved, the monsters at the foot of the mountain let out a whine, turned around and ran away with their tails between their legs. Lu Ya's eyes did not shift at all, and he still looked coldly at the furious one-horned green bull. Facing Lu Ya's cold eyes, the one-horned green bull became more and more angry. As he stepped down step by step, the high-handed attitude made it almost unbearable. Boom! It stepped on one foot, and its huge body rushed towards Lu Ya like thunder, carrying the terrifying lightning that was almost condensed into substance. This movement was like the sky falling and the earth splitting, and the world was dark. The powerful pressure of the descendant of the second-level peak beast was fully demonstrated at this moment. If it were before, Lu Ya would have chosen to avoid the edge because of the huge gap between the two. But now, he simply raised his hand, and the rich bloodlight gathered at his fingertips. After 2 full breaths, when the bloodlight was so thick that the air was almost filled with a bloody smell, Lu Ya's mind moved, and a finger of extermination that was nearly 5 times thicker than before flew out of his hand. Whoosh! As soon as the finger of extermination left Lu Ya's fingertips, it disappeared into the air with a piercing scream. When it reappeared, the distance between the two was less than half. The eyes of the one-horned green bull were full of solemnity. It was this move that easily penetrated the defense of the jade mantis and killed it, and even killed almost all the monsters. It charged while gathering its demonic power, always on guard against the appearance of the finger of extermination. The finger of extermination flashed, and when the one-horned green bull found it, it had already hit its side neck heavily. The defense that the one-horned green bull was proud of had no effect at all under the finger of extermination. It clearly felt that the finger of extermination was touching its demonic power, fur, muscles, etc., and it realized that all this was in vain. Puff! A blood hole almost as big as a football appeared on the side of the one-legged green bull's neck. The huge impact made its body tilt uncontrollably to one side, and its speed slowed down visibly. After scoring a goal with one strike, Lu Ya did not hesitate at all, and continued to bombard the one-legged green bull with one finger of death after another. The frequency was so fast and the damage was so high that the descendant of the divine beast could only silently take the beating at this moment. Roar! Moo! The one-legged green bull roared continuously. It could not imagine why a human race that looked so weak could suppress it and make it almost powerless to fight back. It must be that I consumed too much before, otherwise it would never be like this, the one-legged green bull thought in his mind while trying in vain to avoid the elusive finger of death. Luya was still calm and indifferent. Even though the opponent was suppressed by him and there was almost no good meat on his body, he still approached slowly, never speeding up or slowing down. Crackling. There were continuous explosions in the air. That was caused by Luya's every strike of the finger of extermination. This also meant that the power of the finger of extermination was stronger than at the beginning, and the killing power was even more terrifying. Luya's index finger and middle finger stood upright, and his ring finger and pinky finger were half bent down, and they were placed on his thumb, which was also bent. A more intense bloodlight gathered on his sword finger. This couldn't go on any longer. The one-horned green bull felt a sudden palpitation for no reason, and looked at Luya's finger, and an absurd idea came to his mind. If it didn't fight hard, it would definitely die in the next attack. Moo. I am a descendant of Kinyu, you can't kill me. In the thunderous roar, the one-legged green bull was shining with lightning, and one foot slammed heavily on the ground, turning into a flash of lightning. Almost in the blink of an eye, it appeared in front of Luya, with a pair of sharp horns flashing with metallic luster, facing Luya's heart. If he was hit by the pair of horns, Luya would definitely die. Therefore, a strong wind whistled around Luya, and his figure disappeared from the spot in an instant. The bull's horn pierced Luya, but there was no real feeling. The one-horned green bull looked at the afterimage that quickly dissipated, and was horrified. Behind it. In its perception, Luya suddenly appeared behind it, and a sword finger had already hit its back of the head. At the moment when Luya's finger of extinction fell, a ball of light suddenly bloomed at the root of the one-legged green bull's horn. As soon as the light appeared, it instantly turned into an ice blue light shield, wrapping the one-horned green bull in it. The sword finger of extinction hit the ice blue light shield, causing it to tremble violently for a few times, and then it regained its calm. It was a way to save its life. After the ice blue light shield was attacked, the divine light was brilliant, and suddenly a huge ice blue black dragon phantom emerged from the light shield. The black dragon had a slender body, ice blue all over, and a flower made of keratin grew on its forehead. There was no spiritual light in its ice blue eyes. Who dares to hurt my son? The shadow of the ice blue dragon coiled up and protected the one-horned green bull. Luya stopped cautiously in the distance, looking at the ice blue dragon protecting the one-horned green bull, without saying a word. The ice blue dragon spoke again. No matter who you are, or what dispute you have with my son, let it go, and I, Li Zhu, will definitely reward you. Otherwise, even if you are at the end of the world or the bottom of the devil's abyss, I will extract your soul and refine your spirit, and you will not be able to reincarnate. Luya's pupils shrank when he heard it, and then he reacted. This shadow of the dragon has no intelligence at all, it is just a means to save life. If other monsters saw this means of saving life, they might be afraid of this dragon and choose to give up killing the one-horned green bull. But Luya is a human, and he is incompatible with the monsters. Moreover, it took the initiative to come to the door. In this case, the dragon can't show off its power. The one-horned green bull was inside the ice blue light shield. Looking at Luya outside the light shield, he grinned and laughed silently. Do you think I can't do anything to you like this? Luya took a step forward, and the blazing sunfire fell, covering the ice blue black dragon and the light shield. Under the continuous scorching heat, the ice blue light shield gradually lost its strength, and finally disappeared with a bang. The flame swept, the finger strength was crisscrossed, and the moment the life-saving means failed, the one-horned green bull was directly killed by Luya. Chapter 133 Daoyan and the Bottom of the Great Lake. The death of the one-horned green bull did not stop Luya. As soon as Luya stepped on the ground, the wind whistled instantly. With the extreme speed of the swift wind escape, Luya moved freely around the city wall, and the deep red finger force was frequently pointed out, killing all the monsters in his sight. With a hiss, the second-level peak monster that escaped the farthest trembled all over, and a blood hole appeared on the back of its head. The demonic power of its body collapsed silently and fell straight to the ground. Luya stood in midair, surrounded by a strong bloody aura. He took a deep breath of the slightly fishy air, and the boiling killing intent in his heart gradually subsided under his will. Under him, there were layers of monster corpses lying on the ground. After spitting out the turbid air, Luya opened his eyes, and his figure flashed, and he had appeared next to the corpse of the one-legged green bull. After the death of the one-horned green bull, the pale green color of its skin was peeled off like a canvas, revealing its original black and blue fur. Lu Ye witnessed this scene and couldn't help shaking his head. As it completely died, waves of spiritual light bloomed in front of Lu Ye's eyes on its body. What is this? Dao Yun. Lu Ye's eyes were full of surprise. He was no longer the new cultivator who knew nothing. After 5 years of cultivation, he had already mastered the knowledge of cultivation. In short, Dao Yun is the lingering sound of the great Dao. As the saying goes, Dao cannot be heard, but it has its own rhyme. The 3,000 great Daos each have their own rhyme. After the death of cultivators with high cultivation, monsters with strong bloodlines, spirits born by heaven and earth, etc., there is a very high probability that some indescribable spiritual light will be born in their bodies. This is the manifestation of the retention of Dao Yun. Dao Yun does not last long. Before it disappears, cultivators can comprehend Dao Yun and understand its mysteries, so that they may be able to condense their own unique Dao method. This is the origin of Dao Fa, observing Dao Yun and learning from nature. Lu Ye did not dare to delay for a moment, and quickly used the control technique to grab the one-horned green bull, and his spiritual sense swept over Yang's city behind him. In just a moment, he found a pavilion located at the neck of the mountain. He took the one-horned green bull and flew there quickly, and at the same time sent a message to Lu Dingbo, Patriarch, I need to retreat to comprehend the Tao rhyme left by this monster. You should rest in Yang's city first, and wait for me to come out of retreat, and then we will set off. Then, he rushed directly into the pavilion, and his spiritual sense swept it without finding any life, so he sat cross-legged on the top floor of the pavilion with peace of mind. It was not until this time that he looked at the corpse of the one-horned green bull with a burning gaze. On its corpse, several groups of spiritual light wrapped part of its body like mist, and appeared in front of Lu Ye's eyes. 2 of the spiritual lights wrapped its eyes, 1 wrapped its single foot, and another was actually inside its body, and no one knew where it was. After taking the healing medicine and ki-boosting pill, Lu Ye quickly entered a state of meditation, and Chang Chun-gong was running in his body. He released his spiritual consciousness and coordinated his eyes to comprehend the Dao rhyme in front of him. What whistles past is the wind, what warms nature is also the wind, what nourishes all things is water, and what destroys life is also water. Looking at the Dao rhyme in front of him, Lu Ye's eyes were blurred and he gradually became addicted to it. At the bottom of a vast swamp like the sea, there is a continuous and magnificent crystal dragon palace. Some are built on the mountains at the bottom of the lake, and some are suspended in the water. The most majestic main hall is located on a tortoise shell of unknown size. At this moment, in the majestic main hall of the crystal palace, a figure sat high up at the top. His face was blurred, but his body was tall and sturdy. He wore a black gold robe, which further demonstrated the majesty and dominance of this figure. Under the majestic figure, there were 2 rows of 10 large crystal chairs, each of which was several feet long and wide, but at this moment half of the seats were empty. Everyone, nearly half of Yankee's territory has been completely controlled by us, but why has the progress been so slow recently? The majestic figure sitting high up in the head made a low voice. My king, this is because the major forces of the human race have begun to unite and fight against us together. On an extremely wide crystal chair, a strange beast that was dozens of feet long stood up, crawled in the center of the palace, lowered its head, and replied carefully. The majestic figure did not reply, but the crawling strange beast felt the pressure like a mountain and a sea falling on its shoulders, making him sweat coldly. After a few breaths, this pressure suddenly disappeared, as if it had never existed. The crawling strange beast on the ground was like a new life, but it didn't even dare to breathe. Can't you fight against us? The majestic and vague figure asked in a low voice. No, my king, we are gathering the monster army, and when the time comes, we can wipe out those human races. The beast crawled on the ground and quickly replied. Then do it. The beast still crawled on the ground, without moving at all. A magnificent cold snort fell heavily from above. My king, please issue an order to summon the 10 of us to participate in this battle to ensure that there is no risk. The majestic figure looked down at the beast below, and the voice returned to a low voice. Okay. The beast crawling on the ground had a slight flash of joy in its eyes, and then respectfully returned to its seat. Li Ji, on a large crystal chair, a graceful woman was half leaning on the back of the chair, with long ice blue hair falling down like a waterfall. Her face was absolutely beautiful and flawless, full of a kind of indifferent holiness. But at this moment, Her brows were slightly furrowed, and a barely detectable throbbing rose from her heart. A trace of water element fluctuation came from the seat beside her, and she came back to her senses and looked up at the majestic figure at the top. "My king, Li Ji, you will go with us this time." Li Ji obeys. Li Ji's true form is a Li dragon and the mother of the one-horned green bull. After answering at this moment, the throbbing in her heart intensified a little, which made her unable to help but start casting a spell, and the conclusion she finally came to made her feel a little relieved. Because everything was normal. Even her only son had no problems. "You all go down," Li Ji said. The majestic figure spoke, and the other big monsters in the palace quickly left. Looking at the beautiful figure in ice blue below, the majestic figure spoke softly. "Li Ji, what do you think of the suggestion made by the king?" Li Ji's face became colder and colder, and she just replied coldly, "Li Ji has no such intention, please respect yourself, my king." After saying that, without waiting for the king she mentioned to react, she stood up from the crystal chair, turned around and walked away from the huge palace quickly. The majestic figure did not say a word, and his expression could not be seen clearly due to the blurred appearance. It was only when Li Ji left that a suppressed and tyrannical cold snort broke out in the empty hall. "Everyone, remember to vote." Chapter 134 Exploring Yang's City. The water in the palace surged violently. In just a moment, a huge monster with a length of more than 500 feet and covered with countless dark green scales appeared in the majestic crystal palace. There were 2 dragon horns on its head. The dragon horns were straight and short, with natural lines flowing, but at the end of the horns were 2 deformed meatballs, which destroyed most of its sacredness. There were 5 claws on its abdomen, and 2 dragon eyes were shining with fascinating light. The whole body exuded a tyrannical and terrifying aura, like a tyrant looking down on the world. This was an incredibly huge dragon. Except for the dragon horns on its head that looked like tumors, it was almost the same as the real dragon in the legend. The dark dragon's mountain-like body was entrenched in the depths of the hall, and its huge eyes looked down at the gate of the palace, and a pair of dragon claws opened and closed. Finally, it retracted its gaze and hid its huge body back into the darkness. So what if you have a divine beast background? Many years have passed. When I unify Yankee and ascend to the throne of the Demon King, you will have no choice but to obey me. Yankee region, northeast direction, Yang's City. After experiencing a beast tide that had almost no chance of survival, both the Lu and Li clans, as well as the scattered cultivators and war servants who followed them, all collapsed to the ground in exhaustion. After a short rest, Lu Dingbo forced himself to be energetic and began to direct everyone to deal with the end. Under Lu Dingbo's command, a series of matters such as the collection and storage of materials for the corpses of demon beasts, the collection of the bodies of fallen cultivators, the repair of the city walls, and the exploration of Yang's City were carried out in an orderly manner. Lu Dingbo himself took Lu Feng and several other late-stage key training masters to fly towards the pavilion where Liu was. After setting up the Xiangang Xingdao formation and instructing Lu Feng and others to guard the formation and the attic well and not to disturb Liu, he turned and left. After summoning the remaining foundation builders, Lu Dingbo and others flew towards the highest palace together. Before long, the group arrived in front of the half-collapsed palace. It didn't seem so from a distance, but until they got closer, everyone realized that the fall of Yang's City was doomed. Only half of the huge palace was left, and there was only a huge claw mark in the ruins of the other half of the palace. It was this claw, which was almost half the size of the palace, that collapsed half of the palace. In front of the palace, 3 large gold-plated plaques with the words Yang's City were hung diagonally on the wall. Everyone carefully entered from the edge of the ruins, avoiding the flesh and blood corpses that could not be seen clearly along the way, and began to explore the palace. The palace was not small, but with the exploration of several foundation builders, the progress was very fast. Before long, an excited shout attracted everyone's attention. Everyone quickly gathered towards the place where the shout came from. When Lu Dingbo arrived, he saw Lu Dinghe standing next to a fixed array base with a happy face. "Dinghe, what is this?" Lu Dingbo looked at the huge array base behind him and had a vague guess in his heart. Could this be the core array base of the Yang's City defense array? Before Lu Dinghe could speak, Li Xiaoxu, a foundation building master of the Li family, said with shock. Looking at this, it must be the core array base of the city defense array, otherwise it would not appear in the city lord's mansion. Li Xiaoxu nodded and said, Lu Dingbo also said with a smile, if it is really the city defense array, once it is activated, our lives will be protected. Li Xiaozi turned his head and looked at Li Xiaoxu, who spoke first, and said, Xiaoxu, you are quite knowledgeable about arrays. Hurry up and see if you can activate the city defense array normally. Hearing this, everyone gave up their seats. Li Xiaoxu stroked his beard, walked to the front of the array base, and began to study it carefully. The more he studied, the more solemn his expression became. It was not until half a while later that he sighed heavily. With his sigh, everyone's heart clicked. Dao Xiaoxu, has this array been damaged and cannot be used? Lu Dingbo asked cautiously. Li Xiaoxu shook his head and did not keep the secret. This city defense formation is well preserved, and there is basically no problem in opening it. If so, it should be a good thing. Why is Uncle Wu sighing? Li Shaoan asked in confusion. Li Xiaoxu said, although the city defense formation is intact, I have no way to open it. I lack the most core activation token, which is also the key to activating the formation. And even so, because of the damage of the formation itself, even after it is activated, the defense capability will decrease. I estimate that it will decrease by 20% to 30%, and the consumption will also increase greatly. Several people looked at each other, and they all saw a trace of disappointment in each other's eyes. Lu Dingbo quickly got out of the disappointment. He said, the most urgent thing is to find out if there is an activation token for this formation in Yuan's city. As for the consumption problem, we will consider it after the formation is activated. That's right, find the token first. Without the token, everything is empty. An order was issued, and the more than 400 survivors in Yang's city immediately put down everything at hand and began to search in the huge ruins of Yang's city. During this period, people kept finding magic tools, spirit stones, elixirs, etc. left in the city, and a few unlucky people were killed by some protective measures. Chu Lidi held a spear and shuttled alone in the ruins of Yang's city. The elders of the clan said that he had to find a palm-sized token, so he searched in the ruins day and night. Fortunately, there was not much in the city, but there was a lot of monster meat. With the sufficient nutrients of monster meat, he did not fall on the way to find the token. Looking at the building in front of him, Chu Lidi sighed, if I can't find it here, I really don't know where to go. Tightening the spear in his hand, Chu Lidi walked towards the building in front of him, stopping every step. Pushing open the half-open heavy door, what came into view was a bloody hell. There were broken limbs and arms everywhere, and the dried blood plasma covered the entire courtyard. There was almost no place to step. Chu Lidi's face was pale. Although he had seen dead people and created dead people, he had never experienced such a bloody scene with such a strong impact that made people crazy. After a long pause, Chu Lidi finally walked into the courtyard. As soon as he entered the courtyard, he could clearly feel that the temperature inside the door dropped sharply. Resisting the urge to escape from this place, he began to grope among the parts on the ground. As time passed, his spear hid a place, making a crisp jingling sound. He was puzzled and picked it up with his spear, and saw a blood-soaked token leaping into the air. On one side of the token, there was a word master written on it. Chu Lidi reached out to catch the token, stuffed it into the backpack on his back, and began to search again. As for whether it is what the elders need, we will know when we go back and hand it in at night. Chapter 135, City Defense Array started, tentatively Yuangs. Lu Dingbo and his companions temporarily settled in a deserted restaurant near the city wall of Yuan's city. Chu Lidi, holding a spear and carrying a bulging package, walked towards the restaurant from the end of the street. This scene was immediately seen by Gaudin and others who had been leaning on the railings and eagerly waiting, and they immediately cheered and greeted them. Chu Lidi looked at the brothers and sisters who were running over, and a smile appeared on his tired face. Brother, you are finally back. We have eaten dinner, and we asked Aunt Zhu to save food for you. That's right, brother, you went out yesterday afternoon and didn't come back last night. We thought, as Lu Xiaoguo spoke, a thick layer of mist quickly filled his big black eyes. Okay, Xiaoguo, isn't brother back? Chu Lidi rubbed the little girl's head and led a few people to the restaurant. After he handed in all the tokens he found, Gaudin and others also asked Aunt Zhu in the kitchen to bring steaming hot meals. Brother, eat it while it's hot. Chu Lidi took the food from Gaudin and started eating without saying anything. After working hard for a whole day and night, eating this hot meal made him relax quickly. Beside him, Gaudin, Mao Sheng and Xiaoguo lay on the table and watched him eat quietly. On the other side, The tokens that Chu Lidi handed in and the tokens found by others had been sent to the city lord's mansion. Li Xiaoxu sat cross-legged in front of the formation base, and a large number of tokens were scattered around him. Senior Li, another batch of tokens has been sent. A war servant of the 8th level of key training respectfully took out the collected tokens from the storage bag and placed them beside Li Xiaoxu. Li Xiaoxu nodded expressionlessly. After the war servants retreated, he waved his hand to summon the tokens and started the repetitive and boring test again. Ding! After the tokens were mechanically activated again, the formation base, which was originally like a pool of stagnant water, suddenly made a crisp sound. Li Xiaoxu's calm eyes suddenly burst into a surprising look. His skinny hands firmly grasped the token in his hand, and then carefully input mana into it. Buzz! As the mana continued to be input, the array base in front of him made a buzzing sound, and even the token in his hand began to generate a strong suction force, as if it was about to fall into the groove of the array base. That's it. Ha ha ha! A burst of laughter came from the half-collapsed city lord's mansion. Li Xiaoxu did not hesitate, flashed out of the hall, and his cultivation was fully activated. He turned into a rainbow light and rushed towards the restaurant at the foot of the mountain. A quarter of an hour later, all 7 foundation builders gathered in the city lord's mansion. Lu Dingbo stood aside and asked, Dao Ali, how many spirit stones do you think are needed to operate this city defense formation? Li Xiaoxu frowned, shook his head at first, then sighed and said, the level of the city defense formation of Yang City is not low. It should be a 3rd-level medium-grade formation. Moreover, the consumption of this kind of protective formation is terrifying. The specific consumption can only be concluded after we activate the formation, then try to activate it. If the consumption is acceptable, we can rest assured to wait for Dao Ayaluya to come out of retreat, Li Xiaozi said, holding his beard. That's right. If there is a large formation to protect us, we will feel much more at ease. Li Xiaoxu nodded and said, okay, then I will activate it now. Lu Dingbo handed over a storage bag and said, Dao Xiaoxu, there are 1,000 medium-grade spirit stones in it. You can use it first. Li Xiaoxu did not refuse and took it directly. The next moment, he sat cross-legged, his magic power was running, and the token in his hand flew towards the formation base. With a light click sound, the two fit together perfectly. As the token was embedded in the array base, a buzzing sound resounded in everyone's ears, and nodes on the array base quickly lit up. In the blink of an eye, the entire array base was filled with spiritual light. When the spiritual light was overflowing, a very thin beam of light shot up from the array base, and suddenly exploded after flying to a certain height. When everyone flew above the city lord's mansion, they saw the exploded beam of light gradually spreading and covering the foot of the mountain like an invisible water curtain. Finally, it turned into an invisible big bowl, locking the entire Yuan city in it. It's done. Lu Dinghe clapped his hands excitedly. Li Shaoan also slowly exhaled a breath of turbid air, and a sense of relief emerged in his heart for no reason. Li Xiaozi also nodded and said, okay, with this city defense array, unless the Golden Core Demon King comes here, ordinary beast tides can no longer threaten us. Everyone returned to the hall again. Li Shaoxu was sitting cross-legged next to the array base at this moment, and his magic power seemed to have formed an inexplicable union with the array base. Seeing everyone coming, he slowly said, fellow Daoists, I roughly estimated that at the current consumption rate, about 13 medium-grade spirit stones are consumed a day. 13, Lu Dingbo's eyes showed surprise. This consumption was still within their tolerance. Since the beast tide began, they have migrated all the way here. Apart from other things, they have done a lot of murders and looting, and the wealth accumulated on them at this moment is definitely beyond the cognition of many people. Moreover, there is a deserted city that has not been excavated. When the entire city is excavated, it is estimated that there will be a large harvest. Lu Dingbo and Li Shaoan looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. Li Shaoan bowed and said, in this case, I have to ask Uncle Wu to take care of it. Li Xiaoxu waved his hand, indicating that it was okay. In fact, being able to preside over a city's clan protection formation is also good for him. The abundant spiritual energy on the formation base is also nourishing his cultivation all the time, which is much faster than his cultivation alone. He added, now that the formation is in place, the underground spiritual veins of the city will surely be gradually released. Within 3 days, the spiritual energy in the city will return to its original level. You can choose a suitable cave to practice, This is good news, Li Shaoan said with a smile. Everyone's eyes lit up. The first factor in building a cultivation city is the amount of spiritual energy. If the spiritual energy is thin, even if it is a famous mountain or a river, there may not be cultivators willing to build a city. On the contrary, if the spiritual energy is abundant, there is a high probability that a cultivation city will be built. Lu Dingbo thought for a while and said, then let's wait until the spiritual energy is restored, and then we will make a choice. Now we still have to appease our clansmen and those who follow us. In addition, there are many things that need us to deal with. Li Xiaozi heard this, and his thoughts turned, and then he said, Shaoan is a little young and lacks experience in many things. I hope that Dao Yao Lu will take care of me. If there is anything wrong, Dao Yao, please correct it in time. This is giving up power. Lu Dingbo narrowed his eyes slightly. He was over 70 years old and had been the patriarch of the family for decades. Naturally, he could hear the meaning of Li Xiaozi's words. Li Xiaozi, who was in the late stage of foundation building, could say such words to him, a junior who had just built his foundation. Of course, it was not because of his outstanding management ability. It was just because their Lu family had a peerless genius who could kill a second-level peak monster with a cultivation of the early stage of foundation building. If Lu Yan had not existed, Li Xiaozi would never have given up the huge benefits brought by this city. But because of this, it also shows that Li Xiaozi and his Li family are still qualified partners. Everyone, remember to vote. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136, Another Magical Power. Li Xiaozi gave Li Shaoan a look, and Li Shaoan immediately cupped his hands and said, Brother Lu, please bear with me, it has come to this point, and Lu Dingbo would seem a little hypocritical if he refused again, so he cupped his hands directly and smiled slightly. What are you talking about? You and I are allies, so we should advance and retreat together. The opening of the city defense formation naturally could not stop the perception of the other monks. The monks who were still worried about the beast tide coming again cheered. With the city defense formation, their lives were guaranteed. At least they would not face the attacks of monsters directly. So far, the migration team has temporarily settled in Yuang's city. The cleaning of the city, the arrangement of the team members, and various trivial matters are also being carried out in an orderly manner with the joint efforts of Lu Dingbo and Li Shaoan. In this stable atmosphere, another month has passed in the blink of an eye. In a pavilion, a young Taoist in a black robe sat cross-legged in front of a huge one-legged blue bull corpse. The Taoist's eyes were empty, looking at the corpse in front of him that had long lost its spirituality. Suddenly, the Taoist's eyes gradually regained their spirits, waking up from a deep state of meditation. Lu Yao let out a long sigh, his mind moved, and then he murmured to himself, as a month passed, feeling the surging mana in his body and his intact body, Lu Yao's heart was not disturbed at all. He spread his hands, and a breeze emerged from his palms. He turned his palms again, and a few drops of water fell downwards. The Taorim is indeed well deserved, he sighed. In a month, while he was comprehending the Taorim left by the one-legged green ox, his experience in wind control was also increasing rapidly, and he was not far from the limit of the realm of transformation. Even the water control technique, which was still at the peak level, had entered the realm of transformation. He also realized some insights that belonged to him from the Taorim. Lu Yao summoned the skill panel casually, and his eyes fixed. Name, Lu Yan. Lifespan, 21,277 years old. Realm, first level of foundation building. 94/100, skills, peak of Chongchun Gong. 7977, 50000, skills, perfect fire control technique, perfect golden sword key, realm of wind control technique. 193756, 200000, peak of wind shockers. 2358, 50000, realm of water control technique. 31580, 500000, great mastery of rainbow transformation. 3845/5000, great mastery of gale escape. 4897/5000, minor mastery of spirit purification technique. 322, 2000, minor mastery of soul bewitching technique. 124, 2000, Peak of Palm Thunder Technique. 42887, 50000, First Level of Weapon Refining Technique. 3740/5000, Magic Powers, True Sun Fire, Finger of Extinction, Magic Power Points. 1. Why did the experience of the water controlling technique increase so much after the breakthrough of the transformation realm? A trace of doubt flashed in Lu Ya's eyes. Before, whether it was the fire controlling technique or the wind controlling technique, the experience would be 200,000 after the breakthrough of the transformation realm, which made him think that it was the same for all 4 types of spells, but now it seems that it is not that simple. Is it because I have established my foundation? Or is it because of the superposition of spells in the same system that caused the experience of the water controlling technique to surge? Lu Ya thought for a few breaths, and then kept this in mind, waiting for him to verify it after he obtained the earth controlling technique. I have comprehended the Dao rhythm of lightning, which has greatly improved the experience of the palm thunder. Lu Ya spread out his palm again, and a ray of lightning danced in his hand. He threw it casually, and the lightning danced, and in the blink of an eye, it hit the body of the one-legged green ox, leaving a circle of burning. The power has increased a lot, mainly because it is almost instant. Lu Ya nodded to show his satisfaction with the power of the palm thunder. Then he turned his attention to his realm. In the short time since the birth of the life-destroying finger, his cultivation has advanced by leaps and bounds, and now he is about to break through the second level of the foundation building. I have to say that the power of the life-destroying finger is really terrifying. Not only is the attack powerful, but it can also erase the cause and effect of swallowing, thereby strengthening its own feedback cultivation. Lu Ya sighed. Before the life-destroying finger, he could only practice step by step and slowly improve his cultivation. But after the birth of the life-destroying finger, he seemed to have turned into a game player. As long as he killed the enemy, he could gain experience and thus upgrade. This made him look forward to a few more beast tides. Maybe his cultivation could break through to the middle stage of the foundation building. Forget it. This kind of rapid growth in cultivation is not a good thing. It is better to practice step by step. As for the feedback of the life-destroying finger, it cannot be forced, but it cannot be wasted. Lu Ya shook his head and threw away an unrealistic idea from his mind. As for the use of magical points, he originally planned to break through the Zuanyang Yikiju, but now Lu Ya seems to have a better choice. After seeing the talent of the one-horned green bull, Lu Ya had an idea when he was comprehending the Dao rhyme on the corpse of the one-legged green bull. Now that the comprehending is over, this idea has the possibility of becoming real. But he has a feeling that it is not yet time to turn it into reality, and his accumulation is not enough. If he forces it, not only will it not succeed, but this perception will be wasted, resulting in it being impossible to complete it again. This time it is really dangerous. If I don't break through in time, I might be the one who dies. I can break through in time this time. Can I break through every time in the future? Lu Ya's heart is heavy, and then he doesn't think about it anymore, and doesn't plan to come out of retreat, and continues to practice with his eyes closed. 20 days later, Lu Ya woke up from his meditation and opened the skill panel. Realm, Foundation Building Level 2. 1/100, finally broke through to Foundation Building Level 2. Feeling the slightly stronger mana in his body, Lu Ya smiled with satisfaction. After 20 days of retreat, he not only raised his cultivation to Foundation Building Level 2, but also pushed his wind control technique and palm thunder to their respective limits. So, the magic power came out again. Magic power, Guangmo wind, the wind coming from the hometown where it lives is the real wind, which is responsible for the growth and nourishment of all things. The wind coming from the back is the virtual wind, which hurts people and kills and harms others. There is a virtual wind coming from the north, which is born from the Kanki, and is called Guangmo wind. It starts in the first month of winter, and when it passes, all things will be killed and the grass and trees will wither. Lu Ya waved his hand, and a whimpering cold wind blew through the building. Wherever it passed, cold frost was everywhere, and the temperature dropped sharply. If a cultivator was blown by this wind, there is a high probability that the body would be frozen and the soul would be blown away from the body. The time has come. Lu Ya did not hesitate to put a magic point into the palm thunder. After a moment, the palm thunder was wrapped in the light transformed by the magic point and began to break through the limit. One day later, the palm thunder successfully broke through to the transformation realm, and the experience limit was still 400,000. Lu Yu did not stop and used up another magical power point. However, this time, the magical power point did not cover any skill. Instead, it turned into a ball of silver light and poured into Lu Yu's mind. Then, waves of insights emerged from his mind and poured into this ball of silver light. Lu Yu closed his eyes and followed this silver light, which began to roll and surge in his mind. For a moment, countless information was constantly integrated and summarized in Lu Yu's mind. Finally, it turned into that fleeting spiritual light. Chapter 137, Turning the Hands to Make Clouds and Turning the Hands to Make Rain. In the Chinese civilization where Lu Yu lives, immortals and gods have always existed in legends and have lasted for a long time. They live forever and look up and down the world. They can move mountains and fill the sea, and live in harmony with the world. They can also turn their hands to make clouds and rain. Lu Yu has seen the innate magical powers of the one-legged green bull, and after comprehending the Taoist rhyme left by the one-legged green bull, he had the idea of creating his own Taoist method. No, to be precise, it should be to reproduce the legendary magical powers in his mind, rather than to create them from scratch. Because there are references, there is a specific direction. For example, now, Lu Yu uses the magical power Guang Mo Feng as the basis, supplemented by the water control technique of the realm and the palm thunder, and uses the magical power points as the medium to combine the ideas and perceptions in his mind. After an unknown period of time, the accumulated inspiration suddenly exploded like a volcanic eruption, and the silver light transformed by the magical power points shone brightly in Lu Yu's mind. In a trance, Lu Yu seemed to see an invisible figure above the 9 heavens, stretching out a flawless white palm. The palm was ordinary, but as the palm was extended, clouds gathered quickly, and in the blink of an eye, the sky was full of dark clouds. The palm flipped over casually, and the wind and clouds trembled. The heavy rain poured down with Lu Yu as the center, and every drop of rain was full of great power. Lu Yu stood on the ground, watching the raindrops all fall towards him, and his mind was shocked. The raindrops passed through his body, and then Lu Yu saw the palm flick twice, and then lightning flashed in the dark clouds. A dazzling thunderbolt hit Lu Yu in an instant, and the next second Lu Yu suddenly opened his tightly closed eyes, and there was still a trace of fear in his eyes. After taking a few deep breaths, he shook his head and drove away the fear of the thunderbolt. Then he opened the skill panel, and at this moment, in the magical power column, there was another blank after Guang Mo Feng. A named magical power. Lu Yu naturally understood the meaning of this blank. Name, turning the clouds and rain. As Lu Yu's mind moved, the original blank space changed rapidly, and finally turned into the 4 characters turning the clouds and rain. Magic power, turning the clouds and rain. Lu Yu closed his eyes and carefully comprehended this magical power he created. After a long while, he opened his eyes full of joy. Click on the skill panel and look at the magical power column. Magic power, Sun True Fire, destroying life finger, Guang Mo Wind, turning the clouds and rain. With the 4 magical powers, Lu Yu's sense of security has been greatly enhanced. If he encounters the beast tide again at this moment, he is sure that he can destroy the beast tide without too much effort. This is the power of Taoism after the magic. After nearly 2 months of seclusion, it is time to come out. Lu Yu's heart moved, and he naturally stood up and walked out. Outside the pavilion, the Xiangang star array was running endlessly. Lu Feng, Lu Yuan and others sat cross-legged around the pavilion, practicing silently. Creaky, the wooden door opened from the inside out, and the sound made several people release their spiritual consciousness. Seeing that it was Lu Yu who walked out of the attic, they immediately stopped practicing and stood up and walked over. Father, uncle, third uncle, fifth uncle, thank you for your hard work. Lu Yu looked at the elders in front of him and bowed to thank them one by one. What's the big deal? How is it? How is the effect of my nephew's retreat? Lu Meng smiled and waved his hand casually, looking at Lu Yu and asked. Lu Yu smiled and said, I have gained something, that's good. I'll tell the clan leader first, and he will come later. A touch of relief appeared on Lu Yuan's honest face. Lu Yu stopped Lu Yuan's action. No need, father, I'll go find the clan leader. Lu Yuan nodded, pointed to the center of the city, and said, that's fine. The building below the city lord's mansion is now the residence of my Lu family. The clan leader is also there. You go quickly. Lu Yu nodded, said goodbye to the elders, and flew towards the direction of the city lord's mansion. Soon, he landed in a row of houses. With a light sweep of his spiritual sense, Lu Yu locked onto Lu Dingbo's location. After being swept by Lu Ya's spiritual sense, Lu Dingbo also put down his handwork, turned his head and looked towards Lu Ya's direction, with a surprised smile on his face. After a while, Lu Dingbo and Lu Ya sat opposite each other. Lu Ya asked with some doubts, "Grandpa clan leader, why do I see so many more mortals and cultivators in the city?" Lu Dingbo smiled helplessly and said, "Lu Ya, you have been in seclusion for 2 months, so naturally we don't know. Originally, we just wanted to rest temporarily in Yong's city and wait for you to come out. But since we repaired the city defense formation of Yong's city, I don't know how it was discovered by the surrounding cultivators, so the news spread from 1 to 10, and from 10 to 100. During this period, many cultivators rushed to us with their families to seek shelter. Now in the city, there are more than 1,100 key training cultivators, and there are as many as 11 foundation building cultivators, so many." Lu Ya was a little surprised and asked casually, "Grandpa clan leader, will so many cultivators obey management?" Lu Dingbo narrowed his eyes and smiled easily. "They are all ordinary key training cultivators. It is their blessing that we can take them in. Even the 4 foundation building cultivators have no objection at all." "Well, this is the best." Lu Ya said no more. He was not good at management. Since the clan leader said it was no problem, he did not ask any more questions. Lu Dingbo added, "Moreover, these cultivators must also contribute when encountering beast tides. We have more manpower to fight against the beast tides, and we have resisted 3 beast tide attacks in 2 months. Our big city is so conspicuous, doesn't the Demon King know about it?" Lu Ya asked in confusion. "That's what I want to tell you." Those cultivators also brought a lot of news. Many of them said that since the forces such as Wuhu Valley were destroyed by the demons, the major forces headed by the Yin-Yang demon sect have formed the Demon-Slaying Alliance to jointly resist the attacks of the demons. Lu Dingbo finished speaking, his tone was much more relaxed. "Now, the Demon-Slaying Alliance and the demons are fighting near the Kian Mountains, 2,000 miles away from us. Even some demon kings near us have gone to participate in the war. Now we are considered to be the edge of the human-controlled area. Whether it is the major forces or the demons, they are far away from us, and it is still safe, so that's it." Lu Ya nodded. The current situation is the most favorable for him. With the major forces of the human race resisting the offensive of the demons, he has enough time to practice. Moreover, in Yong's city, the concentration of spiritual energy is higher than any place he has been before. As far as he is concerned, the spiritual energy is so dense that it has produced a slight mist. Lu Ya estimated that the concentration of spiritual energy here has reached the 3rd level. "Since you, Lu Ya, have come out of seclusion, you can move into the City Lord's Mansion today." Below the City Lord's Mansion is the main vein of the 3rd order medium-grade spiritual vein. The concentration of spiritual energy exceeds any place in Yong's city. The efficiency of cultivation in it is greatly improved. Everyone, remember to vote. Chapter 138 Entering the City Lord's Mansion. "I'm going to move into the City Lord's Mansion." Lu Ya looked at Lu Dingbo with some surprise. "What about Senior Li Xiaozi of the Li family?" Lu Dingbo shook his head. He knows his own limitations. He's just in the late stage of foundation building. His combat power is not as good as yours, and his potential is even more different. How could he have the courage to covet the position of City Lord? But I don't have the mind to covet the position of City Lord. Lu Ya was a little amused and continued, "I don't have enough time to practice. How can I be the City Lord?" Lu Dingbo glared at him. "Who asked you to take care of these things? I, your grandpa, will be responsible for handling these matters. You just need to sit on the position of City Lord and practice with peace of mind. Is that so?" "That's okay." Lu Ya thought about it and was a little tempted by the 3rd level spiritual vein that the patriarch mentioned. Lu Dingbo waved his hand and said, "It's settled. You killed the descendant of the divine beast alone. Although in the eyes of others, your cultivation is not high, your combat power is far beyond any of us. This is obvious to all." The Li family also agrees. If you don't move into the City Lord's Mansion, then the City Lord's Mansion can only be empty. At this point, Lu Ya had no reason to refuse. Moreover, his moving into the City Lord's Mansion would be good for both the Lu and Li families. On the one hand, the status of the Lu family will be greatly improved, and the treatment they enjoy will naturally improve. On the other hand, the Li family will feel much more at ease. If Lu Ya insisted on not moving into the City Lord's Mansion, then the Li family would have to consider the intentions behind Lu Ya and the Lu family. So Lu Ya nodded, "Then I will take over the City Lord's Mansion. I will trouble you, Grandpa, The clan leader, ha ha ha, Lu Dingbo laughed heartily and waved his hand. This is not a big deal. I never thought that my Lu family would be able to occupy a city and dominate it one day. Lu Ye was speechless, but did not disturb Lu Dingbo's interest. After laughing a few times, Lu Dingbo quickly stood up and said, "Let's go. Grandpa will take you to the city lord's mansion." Lu Ye had no choice but to follow him. The two of them left the courtyard and flew straight to the city lord's mansion above. Flying over the city lord's mansion, Lu Dingbo pointed to the intact city lord's mansion and said, "The half that originally collapsed, Grandpa has organized people to rebuild it during this period. My Lu family is a genius who has taken over the city lord's mansion. We can't live in a shabby place, which will undermine our dignity. And the side hall over there is the base of the city defense formation. Li Xiaoxu of the Li family is responsible for the formation." Lu Ye nodded to show that he understood. "Let's go in and take a look." Lu Dingbo eagerly took Lu Ye to the gate of the city lord's mansion. Entering the city lord's mansion, Lu Dingbo introduced and chattered, "I will transfer a few useful warriors from the family later. Since we are the city lords, we naturally cannot be too shabby." Crossing the courtyard and the reception hall, Lu Ye followed Lu Dingbo to the innermost bedroom, which was a quiet room. This is the quiet room for the city lord to practice. The jade cushion is a 1,000-year-old warm jade. The warm jade is connected to the third-level middle-grade spiritual vein. Practicing here will get twice the result with half the effort. Looking at the 1,000-year-old warm jade, Lu Ye's eyes lit up. Just in this quiet room, he could feel the rich and pure spiritual energy surrounding him. As long as his mind moved slightly, he could absorb it into his body. "How is it?" "Not bad." Lu Dingbo looked at Lu Ye and asked with a smile. Lu Ye also smiled and nodded. "Okay, Lu Ye, you can stay here. I will tell Li and others later that you have come out of retreat. You don't have to worry about it later." After Lu Dingbo finished speaking, he waved his hand and flew down the mountain. Lu Ye looked at the huge city lord's mansion, and he didn't want to turn around. He walked into the quiet room and sat cross-legged on the 1,000-year-old warm jade. As soon as he sat down, Lu Ye felt as if he was sitting directly on the spiritual vein. The surging spiritual energy instantly wrapped him in it, and even some spiritual energy began to actively drill into his body. The spiritual energy was so amazing. Lu Ye was a little unbelievable, and then he reacted and began to practice the exercises to absorb the spiritual energy. The next morning, in the quiet room, Lu Ye opened his eyes full of size, realm, foundation building level 2/100, in just one day, I actually directly increased a little realm experience. Lu Ye was still a little unbelievable. You know, the speed of cultivation in the foundation building period is much slower than that in the key training period. If he continues at this speed, he will be able to break through to the third level of foundation building in less than 4 months. Within a year, he would be able to become a cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building. If this terrifying speed of cultivation is told to others, no one would believe it. But it appeared in front of Lu Ye. If I cultivate here for 10 years, wouldn't I be able to form a pill? As soon as this thought came up, it grew wildly in Lu Ye's mind like weeds, making him almost ignore the aching meridians in his body and force himself to continue practicing. At the critical moment, the sun's true fire in Lu Ye's mind moved slightly, and a scorching wave swept through Lu Ye's soul. Lu Ye immediately woke up and quickly stopped his thoughts, not daring to think too much. This can also lead to obsession. It's really too exaggerated. Lu Ye couldn't help but complain. In fact, Lu Ye also understood that the city lords of such a big city are almost all Jinden-level cultivators, and the spiritual energy supply of this third-level spiritual land is also sufficient for Jinden-level cultivators. At this time, he, a small cultivator of the second level of foundation building, entered the city lord's mansion and enjoyed the spiritual energy treatment that was originally provided to Jinden-level cultivators, which naturally had a significant effect. After taking a breath, Lu Ye walked out of the quiet room, which was located at the innermost side of the bedroom. He stepped out of the bedroom and came to an open space for testing spells. In the center of the open space was a square black stone with no light. Lu Ye recognized it at a glance. It was the Liren's Hangxun stone. The Liren's Hangxun stone was extremely heavy, hard, and had outstanding resistance to spiritual energy. It was often used by monks to test the power of spells and magic weapons, and it was very valuable. Just such a large piece of Liren's Hangxun stone was not something that ordinary people could buy with spiritual stones. Looking at the Liren's Hangxun stone, Lu Ye casually stretched out his finger and pointed. A deep red finger force flew out and hit the Liren's Hangsul stone in an instant. Silently, a round finger hole 3 inches deep was left on the stone surface. Lu Ye was not surprised at all. If even a magical power like the life-destroying finger can't do anything to the Liren's Hangsul stone, then the Liren's Hangsul stone is too hard, or his magical power is too worthless. Without doing any more tests, Lu Ye turned and walked out. When he reached the gate of the city lord's mansion, Lu Ye saw 2 cultivators in the late stage of key training standing beside the gate, looking intently outside the mansion. It wasn't until Lu Ye walked up to them that they reacted and turned to salute Lu Ye respectfully. Meet the city lord. Lu Ye wasn't used to this title for a while, but he felt good. He waved his hand and motioned for them to stand up. Everyone, remember to vote. Chapter 139 New Street News. Under the gaze of several people, Lu Ye walked down the mountain. Only when they saw Lu Ye walking away did they whisper, "City Lord Lu is too scary. I didn't react when he walked behind me. Who said it wasn't?" No wonder the old patriarch of the Li family agreed to let City Lord Lu be the city lord. Shut up, this is something we can discuss. Do you think you've lived too long? A cultivator of the 9th level of key training glared, and the others immediately shut their mouths and said no more. After going down the mountain, Lu Ye went straight to Lu Dingbo's residence. Knowing that Lu Dingbo was practicing at the moment, he did not stay for long. He left a list of materials and turned back to the city lord's mansion. As for the Li family, he did not go there, and he did not need to go. Thanks to the war between the human race and the demon race, Lu Ye practiced every day in the city lord's mansion of Yang's city, brushed experience, and lived a peaceful life that he had always dreamed of. During this period, cultivators or mortals continued to come to Yang's city, hoping to get shelter. There were all kinds of people seeking shelter. In order to maintain the order of the city, Lu Dingbo specially formed a city guard to deal with the security issues in the city. In this way, the order in the city was initially restored, and more people came. The whole Yang city was revitalized and operated again according to the will of Lu Dingbo and others. Time passed in this calmness, and 3 months passed in a blink of an eye. One day, late at night, in the quiet room, Lu Ye slowly calmed the surging magic power in his body, and a touch of joy appeared in his eyes. Realm, Foundation Building Level 3. 18/100, Kung Fu, Chongchun Kun Peak. 11240/50000. I have made some progress again. A month ago, his Chongchun Kun broke through the level of 10,000 experience, which also accelerated his practice speed again. In just 1 month, he not only broke through the 2nd level of foundation building, but even walked nearly 1/5 of the way to the 3rd level of foundation building. The mana in his body was more than twice as strong as when he just built his foundation. Every time he moved his hands and feet, Lu Ye could feel a strong force flowing in his body. In the foundation building stage, every time you improve your level, your mana will increase by 20%. But for Lu Ye, it was a different scene, which made Lu Ye truly experience the power of the Heavenly Way foundation building. Every time his cultivation level improved, his mana would increase by as much as 50%, and the quality of his mana would also be greatly improved. In terms of the quality and quantity of mana, he was already as good as a cultivator at the 6th level of foundation building. If he breaks through to the intermediate level of foundation building, he would be comparable to a cultivator at the late stage of foundation building. With mana comparable to that of the late stage of foundation building, combined with my magic and magical powers, nothing below the golden elixir should be able to threaten me. Lu Ye slowly clenched his fist, making a clicking sound, and his words were full of confidence. He patted his robe and stood up from the 1,000-year-old warm jade cushion. Flying over the city lord's mansion, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse tonight. Lu Ye looked down and saw a night market street on the hillside. Under the illumination of many spiritual stone lights, it was still brightly lit. This new street is not only a street for the current monks to trade, but also one of the few entertainment venues for monks and mortals in the city. What made all this happen was a group of monks who moved in a month and a half ago, which caused quite a stir at the time. The reason was that all the girls who moved in were girls named Chunman Lu. It is worth mentioning that the girls in Chunman Lu are all cultivators, ranging from the early stage of key training to the late stage of key training, and the mother who led them is a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building with a mature woman's charm. When she came to visit him, the thrilling arc she drew when she bowed was hard for Lu Ye to forget. After staying in the air for a breath, Lu Ya turned around and flew towards the night market street below. In the side hall of the city lord's mansion, Li Xiaoxia slowly opened his eyes, a hint of playfulness flashed in his eyes. He turned his head to look at the place where Lu Ya disappeared, and then closed his eyes again. In the huge palace, only a teasing slowly drifted away. After all, they are young people. When he came to the night market street, the first thing Lu Ya saw was a team of city guards wearing uniform robes and patrolling the night market. The leader of the city guard team was a cultivator of the 8th level of key training, and the other 4 were all from the 5th to 6th level of key training. For most cultivators, this kind of city guards have enough deterrence. There are all kinds of stalls on both sides of the road. Those with better conditions have set up stalls, which sell all kinds of special food, talismans, magic tools, and elixirs. Lu Ya's eyes showed relief, because these people have to pay taxes to him, the city lord. Of course, after seeing the few restaurants and shops on both sides of the night market street, Lu Ya's face was even more relieved. These restaurants and shops are the biggest taxpayers in the city, especially Chunmanlu. After just over a month of operation, the spiritual stones paid are enough to support a city guard of over 100 people. Lu Ya casually performed a breath-retaining spell and walked into Chunmanlu. At this moment, in Chunmanlu, in addition to the beautiful girls, there was also a thin old Taoist with a goatee. At this time, the old Taoist slammed the gavel and spoke eloquently. Lu Ya found an empty seat and sat down. Last time I mentioned that when the Yin-Yang Saint Sect Master Yang Qianzhong faced the 3/4 Order Demon Kings, the Black Water Dragon Turtle, the Yaoang Black Sky Tiger, and the Poison Swamp Crocodile God, his cultivation level of the middle stage of the nascent soul was fully revealed, and the Yin-Yang Saint Sect's peerless skill, the great Yin-Yang invisible formless art, erupted with earth-shaking power. Even when he was fighting 1 against 3, Sect Master Yang was not at all inferior. That battle was simply earth-shaking. The sun and the moon lost their light, and even several mountaintops in the Qian Mountains were blown down. In the end, Sect Master Yang was the winner, and 1 of the 3 demon kings died, 1 escaped, and 1 was seriously injured. The Human Alliance took the opportunity to launch a counterattack against the demon clan. After this battle, demons from all sects and schools came out together. And there was an endless stream of geniuses, all of whom used this demon chaos to hone themselves. Speaking of excitement, the audience below the stage were also listening with momentum, but the old Taoist with a goat beard slammed the gavel and drank the tea that had already cooled down leisurely, looking like a calm and composed person. Hey, you old Taoist priest, at this critical moment, what kind of tea are you drinking? Someone was dissatisfied and slammed the table and shouted. Ahem, please forgive me, I am old and my energy is insufficient. I have to drink slowly. The tea is a little cold. Lu Ya waved his hand, and a young man who looked like a servant came quickly. Go, bring this old Taoist priest a pot of spiritual tea. Okay, in a few minutes, a pot of hot tea with spiritual energy was brought to the old Taoist priest's table. Thank you for the tea from the handsome young man with a nose like a peak and eyes like bright stars. When the spiritual tea was served, the old Taoist priest was shocked and hurriedly stood up and bowed to the tea table where Lu Ya was. Thank you Maxim Xiaomianqiu for the reward. Thank you. Chapter 140, The Most Beautiful Prodigies. It must be said that the cultivators who make a living by talking are good at it. In just one sentence, they praised Lu Ya's greatest advantage to the fullest. After hearing the old Taoist's praise, the people who were listening to the book turned their heads curiously, wanting to see what the handsome young man in the world who was like a hanging peak in the old Taoist's mouth looked like. However, after taking a curious look, they really didn't see anything special. So they turned their heads and looked at the old Taoist. A young man in the middle stage of key training sitting in the front threw out a low-grade spirit stone and urged loudly, Old Taoist, you have drunk the tea, why don't you tell me quickly about those Xianjiao monsters, what kind of style they are? That's right, well said, the spirit stone can't be missing. As he spoke, a few more spirit stones fell into the arms of the old Taoist and on the table. Don't worry, everyone, the old Taoist will tell you one by one. The old Taoist lightly swept the spirit stones and collected them one by one. Then he took a sip of spirit tea, and his spirit was shocked, and he spoke again. To talk about this genius and evildoer, we must start with the current saint of Yin-Yang Saint Sect, Yang Qixing. According to legend, when this saint of Yin-Yang was born, there was a strange phenomenon in the sky. There was a colorful peacock walking on the clouds and auspicious clouds all over the sky. The supreme elder of yin-yang saint sect called him the son of Kulin. Now, he is only 30 years old, but he has already completed the foundation building and can impact the golden elixir realm at any time. He uses the yin-yang and 5 elements magic to perfection, and it is hard to find an opponent. Having said that, the old Taoist paused and continued. It is said that when the saint of yin-yang was in the middle stage of foundation building, he encountered an ambush by a third-level demon king of the demon race who was good at assassination. As a result, he not only escaped from the demon king, but also injured the demon king and broke one of his arms, causing a great loss of his cultivation. Wow! A burst of exclamations broke out in the hall. After pausing for a while, and after garnering enough amazement, the old Taoist spoke again. The yin-yang holy sect has a holy son, and the blood son of the blood refining sect is not much behind. It is said that the blood son's blood refining technique has reached the realm of blood refining. Regeneration of severed limbs is no problem, and his vitality is so vigorous that it is even more terrifying than that of monsters of the same level. In addition, the eldest senior brother of the Kanking Taoist Academy, the celestial maiden of the Bishu Yaochi, and so on, are also shining on the battlefield. The celestial maiden of the Bishu Yaochi. She must be a gorgeous fairy, isn't that certain? Which disciple of the Bishu Yaochi is not stunningly beautiful, let alone a leader like the celestial maiden? When it comes to the holy son or something like that, the people below the stage didn't react much, but as soon as the old Taoist mentioned the celestial maiden of the Bishu Yaochi, everyone's interest was immediately aroused. Seeing this, the old Taoist rolled his eyes and immediately said with a lewd smile, "The goddess of the jade pool is naturally beautiful and charming. But there are also female disciples from other sects who can rival her. We have to mention the popular list of peerless geniuses." Peerless genius list? What is this list? Tell us quickly. That's right, old Taoist, don't hide it. The old Taoist saw that he had aroused the interest of the audience, so he stroked his beard calmly, not in a hurry. Clatter, clatter. Spirit stones were thrown on the table in front of the old Taoist by the impatient audience, and in a moment they were equivalent to his income in 3 to 5 days in the past. Seeing this, the old Taoist priest naturally understood the principle of knowing when to stop, so he immediately said, "This peerless list of prodigies was compiled by a busybody. It is different from the serious list of prodigies. It records not only the extraordinary cultivation, but also the appearance and figure, which are extremely important aspects of judgment. I had the honor to learn about it before I came here, so I will tell you about it. The top of this peerless list of prodigies is the goddess of the jade pool of the clear water. It is said that this goddess has icy skin and bones, cold and aloof, and she covers her face with a veil all year round. However, the pair of beautiful eyes like the stars that are exposed alone make everyone who looks at her intoxicated. The second one is the number 1 female cultivator of the blood refining sect this generation, Yuzeomu, known as Mandragora. She usually wears a blood-colored light skirt, her skin is as white as snow, and her figure is enchanting, like a blooming mandragora. The third one is Nayuio, the candidate saint of the yin-yang holy sect. She is a natural beauty with a pair of snow-white legs and jade feet that have fascinated thousands of male cultivators. It is said that the son of the blood refining sect has also proposed to become a Taoist partner with her, and he is willing to pay any price for this. Lu Yu never expected that he would hear news about Nayuio while listening to a story in his spare time. Hearing the news about the candidate saint of the yin-yang holy sect, who had a one-night stand with him, he was not at all moved, but the compiler of the list of peerless geniuses had a sharp eye. He must have a say in this. The old Taoist was still talking, but as he narrated, fewer and fewer people listened to him in the audience. Ahem, I'm a little tired after listening for so long. My dear brother, we hit it off at first sight. Why don't we go to the spring house to enjoy the flowers and plants? Just as Lu Yu was drinking spiritual tea and listening to the story, a young man with brocade clothes and jade faces at the table next to him pretended to cough twice, and then said to Lu Yang. Lu Yu was slightly stunned, a little puzzled. Why is there so much flowers and plants when going to Chunmin Lao? The young man in splendid clothes and jade face heard this, revealed a lewd smile and said, when I went to Chunmin Lao, there were flowers, spirit stones, and plants. Lu Ya suddenly realized, and then looked at him with admiration. I have learned from your teachings, but I am busy with my practice, and I hope you will forgive me for not being able to be a fellow practitioner with you. The young man was also stunned when he heard this, and then looked at Lu Ya with an expression of I understand. You still say that we are not fellow practitioners, but you and I are very predestined. This time I come to have some flowers, and ask you to have some plants. How about that? Still not, brother. Why is this so? Is there something you can't tell me? The young man looked at Lu Yao with concern. If so, don't worry, I still have a good medicine here, which can keep you awake all night. Any man would not tolerate such a thing. Lu Yao denied it decisively. No, it's just that I think, compared to this direct method, I prefer to proceed step by step. Hi, it's really high. Lu Yao stood up, regardless of the expression of the young man behind him, put down a medium-grade spirit stone, and said to the servant beside him, "This young man's bill is settled together." Then he bowed and said goodbye, and walked out of Chunmin Lao quickly. Standing on the street again, Lu Yao felt quite good. The boredom of the previous practice had been dispelled by what he saw and heard tonight, which gave him the motivation to continue the next round of practice. It seems that I still have to take some time to go out and take a look occasionally in the future. Blindly practicing makes me seem too rigid, and it is not conducive to the progress of practice. Lu Yao rubbed his fingers unconsciously and said to himself, "Everyone, remember to vote." Chapter 141 Different. It's snowing. It's snowing, children cheered, and Lu Yao looked up at the sky. The originally beautiful night sky had been covered by a thick layer of light gray-black clouds. Snowflakes were flying freely in the air and slowly landing in various places in Yang's city. It's another year. Lu Yao reached out to take a snowflake, watching the temperature in his palm melted into a drop of snow water, muttering to himself. It was still early summer before settling in Yang's, but in the blink of an eye, another cold winter is coming. It's a cold winter, and next year will be a good spring. Lu Yao walked to a secluded corner and soared into the sky. Back in the mansion, Lu Yao went straight to the quiet room. After sitting cross-legged, he opened the skill panel. Name, Lu Yan. Lifespan, 22/277 years old. Realm, Foundation Establishment Level 3. 18/100. Skills, Chongchun Kun Peak. 11240, 50000. Skills, Fire Controlling Technique Perfected. Golden Sword Key Perfected. Wind Controlling Technique Perfected. Wind Shocking Curse Peak. 16542, 50000. Water Controlling Technique Transformed into Realm. 42218, 500000. Rainbow Transformation Technique Great Success. 3977, 5000. Gale Escape Peak. 945 50,000. Spirit Purification Technique Minor Success. 1658, 2000. Soul Bewitching Technique Minor Success. 1353, 2000. Palm Thunder Transformed into Realm. 3424/400000. Weapon Refining Technique Level 1. 3740/5000. Magic Powers, Sun True Fire, Life Extinguishing Finger, Guangmo Wind, Turning Clouds and Rains. Magic Power Points. 0. Another year older. Lu Yao looked at the lifespan on the panel and couldn't help sighing. It's true that there is no time for cultivation, and no 60 years in the mountains. Another year has passed in a flash. Counting this year, which is basically a year of cultivation, I still have 255 years to live. During this period, I will retreat and practice magic, and the remaining time will be even less. A sense of crisis emerged in Lu Yao's heart, and he couldn't help but sigh. Hey, I can still live for 2.5 centuries. Why do I feel that time is not enough? By the way, according to family tradition, men will marry and have children after they reach adulthood to contribute to the prosperity of the family. Maybe I should get married. Lu Yao rubbed his chin twice, his thoughts flying. If I spread the word that I want to get married now, I guess the people lining up can reach the city gate. Of course, this is just Lu Yao's own imagination. There are not so many women of the right age in Yang's city now. Forget it, let's put it aside for now. Besides, old Lu Yang hasn't married yet, so it's not my turn. As long as the eldest brother can hold on long enough, even my father and the clan leader can't force me. With this thought, Lu Yao hoped that his eldest brother could hold on for a little longer. Of course, with his current status and position, no one can force him as long as he doesn't want to, except his father Lu Yuan. But if that happens, the originally harmonious relationship between family members will also deteriorate. This is also what Lu Yao doesn't want to see. As his cultivation and combat power become higher and higher, his status also rises, and outsiders respect him more and more. There is no other emotion except respect. Only the brothers and sisters who grew up together are still the same, without any estrangement because of his cultivation. But even so, Lu Yu can feel that his younger brothers and sisters who are older than him are always full of restraint when facing him, except for the clay dolls like Xia Luobo. I don't know when Xia Luobo's rabbit can be roasted and eaten, Lu Yu thought with a smile on his face, and entered into meditation again. Kiayan Mountains, Kiayan 12 Peaks are the highest 12 peaks in the entire Kiayan Mountains. The main battlefield between the human race and the demon race is here. At this moment, on the 7th peak, countless figures are densely packed, each holding a magic weapon, with a cold look. Under the peak, flames are burning, spiritual energy is overflowing, and blood and flesh are everywhere. A large number of monster corpses are stacked like beds, and there are also a large number of human corpses in between. Blood has dyed this majestic mountain red, and this oil and rocks are emitting waves of sweet and greasy bloody smells. This is the main battlefield on the front. Outside the Kiayan 12 Peaks, there are still a large number of human monks and demons fighting crazily in an unknown place. Every second, lives die, and every second, miracles happen. Rest here for a while, and we will continue to set off in a quarter of an hour, a deliberately suppressed voice sounded in the dark forest. A strong man over 2.5 meters tall, wearing black gold armor, half crouched among the dead branches and fallen leaves. His armor was covered with blood stains. In the gaps where the armor was connected, one could even see dark red and black pieces of flesh. Combined with his thick hair, he looked like a ferocious tiger, which was heart-stirring. Beside him, there were 3 men and 2 women, who were also sitting cross-legged quietly to meditate and regain their energy. This was an elite team of the human race, led by the blood-refining sex blood son, Wenzai, known as the Immortal Blood Demon. In the team beside him, Niuiao was quietly closing her eyes and regulating her breathing, and the fluctuations of the late stage of foundation building were transmitted from her body. Wenzai sat cross-legged and looked at the roaring and surging Kiayan River a few miles away, with caution in his tiger eyes. After crossing the Kiayan River, we will be out of the sight of the demons, and then we can freely carry out operations in the territory occupied by the demons. According to intelligence, among the demon kings still in the Kiayan Mountains, nearly half have left their offspring in their nests. Our mission this time is to kill as many of these demon beast cubs as possible. By then, these demon kings will be forced to return for help, and the main battlefield will be empty, and our human race can also take advantage of the situation to counterattack. However, the first thing to bear the brunt is that they can successfully cross the Kiayan River, which is nearly 1,000 meters wide. In the river, you can see countless demon beasts roaring and even fighting each other at a glance. This is just the ones that have surfaced. There are also a large number of demon beasts hiding under the water, and the number is even more astonishing. A male cultivator held a formation plate, and a trace of almost non-existent fluctuations spread from his formation plate and were recovered. I have used the secret method of the sect to explore, and there are no demon beasts at the demon king level. After a while, he put away the formation plate and said seriously, "Are you sure?" Wenzai asked again carefully. The biggest difference between the demon race and humans is that they belong to different species, and there is no unified concept of the demon race. Some of them are even natural enemies of each other. If there is no demon king or demon beast close to the demon king level to control them, these demon beasts with generally low intelligence can even fight each other. And even so, when there are too many, if they are not of the same race, the demon king may not be able to control them. In large-scale battles, they can only charge in a swarm under the leadership of the leaders of their respective races. This is also the most common state in the beast tide encountered by Lu Ya and others. In the case of individual cultivation, a small number of human cultivators may not be able to stop the attack of the same number of demon beasts. However, when this number is magnified to hundreds or thousands of people, relying on the advantages of exquisite formations and magic weapons and elixirs, the human race can even fight against 3 to 5 times the attack of demon beasts. Dear Masters, remember to vote. Chapter 142 The Demon King is coming? Wisdom is the foundation for the human race to survive in this environment where demons are rampant. Even ordinary people without cultivation have wisdom comparable to that of the Demon King. Therefore, if there is no Demon King in the Kiayan River, combined with their own means, the possibility of their successful crossing the river will be greatly increased. Explore again. If we still don't find the Demon King, we will prepare to cross the river. When Zai gave the order, and the male cultivator who had been there before did not hesitate at all. He took out the array plate and began a new round of exploration. After the exploration was completed, the male cultivator holding the array plate nodded to Wenzai. "Let's go." Wenzai saw this and gave the order decisively. After all the people stood up, Wenzai's voice suddenly rang in Nayuao's ears. "Junior sister Nai, when we cross the river later, you follow me closely, so that I can take action in time if we encounter any danger." Nayuao heard this, and there was no fluctuation in her yin and yang eyes. She continued to do her own thing and walked in the middle of the team. Of course, she knew that the current saint of their yin and yang holy sect was behind this mission. The purpose is very simple, that is, to keep her away from the main battlefield, so that she will not be able to get great merits, and her position as a saint will naturally be as stable as Mount I. Moreover, Nayuao also knew that Wenzai participated in this mission, which was also a means for their saint. What they expected was that he would force himself on a whim, and then the matter would be settled, and he would not compete with her for the inheritance of the saint. What a pity. What the saint didn't know was that she had already lost the qualification to compete for the saint. Everything she did now was just to cover up. Huff under the dim sky, several embarrassed figures were fleeing frantically in the mountains and forests. The leader was a burly man with messy hair. He was Wenzai, the blood son of the blood refining sect behind him. Nayuao's mask was broken in half, and a trace of blood was left on the exposed lips. "Fellow Taoist Wen, it's catching up, I can't cover it up anymore." The male cultivator holding the array plate was pale, and at this moment, he looked at the crazy shaking array plate and said in a hurried voice, "Damn it, didn't the intelligence say there were no demon kings in the lair? How come we are almost 2,000 miles away from Kian Mountain, and we still encountered a third-level intermediate demon king who was breastfeeding?" Wenzai's body has shrunk to just over 2 meters at this moment. Although he is still impressive, his momentum is much weaker than before. Along the way, they completed their mission very successfully. They broke into more than 20 demon beast lairs and killed everyone in them, successfully distracting the minds of nearly 10 demon kings in the main battlefield. However, they didn't expect that just one day ago, when they went to a demon beast lair on the top of the mountain according to the intelligence, they suddenly found that there was a third-level intermediate purple-winged bat king in the lair. As a demon king, the purple-winged bat king naturally has channels to know what happened recently. After seeing Wenzai and his group, he immediately put down the young bats in the lair and killed them. Fortunately, the 6 of them were all outstanding from their respective sects. Facing this third-level intermediate demon king alone might be dangerous, but if they faced it together, they could struggle. However, under the attack of the demon king, they still suffered casualties. A male cultivator from the Dao Huang sect was torn to pieces by the purple-winged bat king's claws and died on the spot. Wenzai heard this, and without saying a word, he increased his speed again and rushed into the distance like a sharp arrow. "Fellow Taoist Wen, wait for us." The cultivator holding the array disc saw his figure getting farther and farther away, and couldn't help shouting. All he responded to was Wenzai's increasingly distant back and the chaotic panting around him. What a naive righteous cultivator. He is a demon cultivator. How could he stop for you, let alone fight for your life? Nayuao said sarcastically while galloping. It is not known whether she was mocking the naivety of the cultivator from the Fuki sect or the coldness and decisiveness of Wenzai. But didn't our sects sign an agreement not to kill each other before the end of the war? It only said that we can't kill each other, but it didn't say that we can't stand by and watch someone die. Another female cultivator from the Zhangho pavilion curled her lips, and her sharp voice pierced the remaining fantasy of the male cultivator of the Fuki sect. The male cultivator of the Fuki sect was struck by lightning, and his steps slowed down involuntarily. "It's over, it's still Wenzai's blood puppet." Seeing this, the female cultivator of the Zhangho pavilion shook her head and rushed forward. With this good teammate to hold back the purple-winged bat king, she could open up a considerable distance. Even faster than her was Nayuao. She tapped her jade feet lightly, and the whole person flew a long way forward, quickly surpassing the female cultivator of the Zhangho pavilion and heading straight for the direction where Wenzai disappeared. Not long after, a shrill howl sounded from the mountains and forests, accompanied by a violent explosion, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was squeezed to the surroundings. Feeling the fluctuation of spiritual energy hitting her body, Nayuao's heart tightened for no reason. She understood that she was being targeted by the Demon King. Bang! A thick purple thunderbolt fell from the sky, tearing apart the heavy leaden clouds and striking the vast mountains and forests without reservation. Luya sat cross-legged on the roof of the city lord's mansion, watching the lightning and thunder in the distant sky, without any ripples in his heart. After watching for a few minutes, he waved his hand casually, and a lightning bolt as thick as an adult's arm hit the roof tiles dozens of meters away in an instant, causing a wave of fluctuations, and then returned to its original state. The palm thunder of the realm of transformation can be said to be reborn, and there is almost no trace of palm thunder. Luya's every move is accompanied by thunder, and his power is extremely terrifying. After pondering for a while, Luya looked up at the place where thunder and lightning were intertwined in the distance. After watching for a moment, his eyes suddenly condensed. Suddenly, a purple-winged bat rushed out from the lead gray dark clouds in the distance. At such a distance, in Luya's eyes, the bat was still the size of an ordinary house sparrow. If it was brought closer, it would definitely have a wingspan of more than 10 meters or even larger. It was definitely a demon beast of the Demon King level. Looking at the direction, it was actually heading towards their Yuang's city. Daoyali, there is a Demon King attacking. Be prepared for the city defense formation to be attacked. Luya stood up and sent a message to Li Xiaoxu in the side hall, and then went straight to the city wall. While he was in midair, his voice had been transmitted to every corner of the city through the city defense formation. In an instant, countless monks rushed out from their residences, restaurants, and city caves, following Luya like sharp arrows and rushing straight to the city wall. Luya stood on the city wall with some surprise in his eyes. The Demon King level bat was flying down to the ground from time to time, as if attacking something. However, the distance was too far, and Luya's eyesight could not see what it was attacking. However, as time passed, the Bat Demon King got closer and closer, and Luya finally saw clearly that it was clearly attacking 3 cultivators, 1 man and 2 women. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143, Meeting an Old Friend Again. City Lord, should we rescue those 3 cultivators? The person who spoke was named Bayushin, the ancestor of a foundation-building family, and also the first foundation-building cultivator to join Yuang's city. His current cultivation level is the 4th level of foundation building, which is already pretty good. Luya looked at him strangely, not understanding why he could say such a thing. Lu Dingbo stood aside and said, those 3 people were able to withstand the attack of the Demon King for such a long time. Even if they were not golden elixir cultivators, they were top-level foundation-building cultivators. Otherwise, they would never have been able to escape from the Demon King. If we go to rescue them, will we rescue them, or will they rescue us? Besides, you and I are only in the early and middle stages of foundation building. If we face the Demon King, we may be beheaded. Are you willing to be the one who sacrifices yourself for others? After Lu Dingbo finished speaking, Bayushin couldn't help but look embarrassed. But Lu Dingbo continued to say, even if we succeed in the rescue by chance, the foundation of our survival will be attacked by the Demon King or even the Beast Tide, and we will have to face these 3 seniors whose cultivation is far superior to ours. Who will have the final say in the city at that time? Where should Bai Daoyao's people stay? What do you think, Bai Daoyao? After Lu Dingbo finished speaking lightly, Bayushin finally reacted, sweating profusely, and couldn't help but secretly regret why he had just shown his glorious and upright side in front of the city lord. Now not only did he fail to steal the chicken, but he also got into trouble. Bayushin had to smile awkwardly, and then said calmly, Patriarch Lu is right, I just mentioned it casually, and I didn't mean anything else. Let's see the situation first. If this Demon King doesn't come to provoke us, then we will wait and see. If this Demon King insists on making things difficult for our Yuang's city, then we should be prepared. Lu Ya's eyes never moved, and his indifferent tone was full of confidence. He had not experienced the strength of the Demon King level monsters. He also wanted to know how far he could go against the Demon King level monsters with his current cultivation. The Bat Demon King who came alone might be an opportunity. Wenzai was only 1.8 meters tall at the moment, with a thin face, but the blood in his eyes became more and more vigorous. Yifu of Zaoshan Sword School held a second-grade top-grade magic sword, waving the sword to resist the attack of the purple-winged Bat King while rushing forward frantically with his sword light. Nayuio, who was proficient in illusion, suffered the least number of attacks from the Demon King, so she was relatively relaxed among the three. Yong's city in the distance naturally fell into the eyes of the three people, and they could even see the shadowy figures on the city wall. The presence of people in the city meant that there was a large protective formation, which meant that they could temporarily avoid the pursuit of the Demon King behind them, and at least get a certain amount of breathing time. After a whole day and night of pursuit, even though they were all talented cultivators from various sects, they were already at the end of their ropes and had to rely on the numerous elixirs and magic weapons on their bodies to delay time. Coincidentally, the three of them accelerated at the same time, turning into rainbow light and heading toward Yong's city. Seeing this, the purple-winged Bat King behind him let out a fierce roar, flapped his wings, and his speed also soared. With a high intelligence, he naturally knew that once these human beings escaped into the city, with the protection of the city defense formation, he would basically have no way to kill them. In the blink of an eye, Niuiao and the other two rushed to the distance of about 1,000 meters from the Yong's city wall. Just as they were about to continue to rush forward, a huge shadow with its back to Yong's city blocked them. It was the purple-winged Bat King. "Fight hard, only by crossing it can we survive," Wenzai said, and his body, which was originally 1.8 meters long, suddenly expanded a circle and turned into a strong man of about 2 meters. Then, without waiting for Niuiao and the others, he turned into a bloody light and rushed towards the purple-winged Bat King. "I am Wenzai, the son of the blood-refining sect. I am on a mission under the orders of the Demon Slayer Alliance. Now I am being hunted by the Demon King. Please help me, the city lord of the big city ahead, to fight the Demon King together." Before Wenzai came into contact with the purple-winged Bat King, he exhaled and spoke. His loud and steady voice was wrapped in magic power and rolled toward Yong's city. "He is really a cultivator from a powerful force." On the city wall, everyone's face changed when they heard the words. After all, he is a cultivator from a powerful force. If they let this son of the blood-refining sect die outside Yong's city, when the war is over and the blood-refining sect knows that they did not save him, they will inevitably bear the wrath of the blood-refining sect. And can they bear the wrath of the blood-refining sect? The answer is no. So everyone turned their eyes to Luya, waiting for his decision. Who knew that Luya did not even look at the son of the blood-refining sect? His eyes passed over the purple-winged Bat King and Yifu and looked at the only female cultivator behind. Luya never thought that he would meet Niuiao here. Before he met her, Luya could still treat the incident in the secret realm as nothing, and even tease her a bit. But when he really met Niuiao, he found that the things that he had forgotten about quickly appeared in his mind, so that he was a little dazed. But in just a moment, he returned to normal. He said calmly, "Don't worry, first observe the fighting of the Xianjiao disciples of the big forces." Seeing him say this, everyone also turned their eyes back to the battlefield outside the city. Li Shaoan moved his lips twice, but finally did not say a word. After Wenzai shouted angrily, he did not care about the city not far away. He did not hope for rescue from the city, and said this just to pave the way for entering the city later. If he did not introduce himself first, when he flew to the city, he was rejected by the other party's city defense formation, and then faced this purple-winged bat, he would be in a dilemma. Although he had seen the third-level Demon King in the sect, facing the purple-winged bat with a wingspan of 20 meters, Wenzai still felt suffocated. He was chased before, and now he was fighting desperately. Even with his perfect foundation and the sect's top skills, he could not hold on. The purple-winged bat opened its mouth wide, and an invisible sound wave was emitted from its mouth towards Wenzai. The bloodlight in Wenzai's eyes became more and more amazing. He decisively used the blood-refining sect's signature skill, the Blood Sea secret technique, and saw his burly body turned into a river of blood in an instant, moving like a blood-colored streak in the air. Even with the sound waves, it only caused ripples in the blood river, but no more damage. The blood river was like a streak, and under the control of magic power, it was like a sharp arrow pulled straight, drawing a Z-shaped trajectory, passing the purple-winged bat, and shooting toward Yong's city. The 1,000-meter distance passed in the blink of an eye. Outside the city wall, the blood river turned into Wenzai again, but at this moment, Wenzai was only about 1.7 meters tall. "Hurry up and open the formation, let me in." Wenzai looked up at the crowd on the top of the city and shouted with gritted teeth. If he hadn't stopped in time, he might have crashed into the city defense formation. If the formation counterattacked, he would have been killed. Everyone, remember to vote. Chapter 144, Call the Wind and Rain, Control the World. The people on the city wall naturally heard Wenzai's roar, but none of them made any move. Someone looked at Lu Yan, but they only saw that Lu Yi was still looking at the man and woman dealing with a purple-winged bat not far away. When Zai roared twice again, and seeing that the city defense formation still did not move, he could not help but curse in anger, and then turned around and flew quickly along the city wall. He was planning to take advantage of Niuiao and Yi Fu dealing with the purple-winged bat king to quickly bypass this big city. However, his action attracted the attention of the purple-winged bat king. Within a short kilometer, it was just a moment for it. It stretched out a sharp hind claw to grab Niuiao in the last second, and the next second, it flapped its purple wings, and its huge body had blocked Wenzai. Damn it, Wenzai roared angrily, turned into a bloody light, and rushed towards Niuiao and the others. He had almost no chance of survival facing the purple-winged bat king alone, and if he cooperated with the other two, he might be able to hold on for a little longer. But Wenzai just moved, and the next moment a sharp claw cut off the blood river, and his body was forced to fall out of the blood river. Then he saw that the purple-winged bat king appeared in front of Yi Fu, holding him in his palm with one claw, and the huge sharp nails almost split him in half, and he was already dead. It's over. This thought jumped out of the minds of all the spectators and participants. With one of the three gone, the already difficult situation became even more difficult. Lu Yi stood on the top of the city, but in an instant, his eyes collided with Niuiao's. One of them had a calm look, and the other's yin and yang energy in his eyes dissipated a little. Niuiao turned around and flew in the opposite direction of Yuan's city. Fairy Nai, only if we join forces can we have a glimmer of hope. When Zai saw Niuiao flying back to the way she came, and hurriedly spoke to keep her. But Niuiao was unmoved, and still flew back to the way she came. Seeing this, when Zai cursed in his heart and hurriedly flew in her direction. If we hadn't exhausted all the means of saving our lives during the pursuit, this wouldn't have happened. While galloping, he turned back and looked at the crowd on the top of the city fiercely. When Zai saw that the originally indifferent crowd suddenly took action, and a young male cultivator stepped out of the air and walked towards the sky. The distance was too far, and facing the sun, when Zai could only see a pair of eyes as calm as the deep sea. Lu Ya stepped into the air and was out of the protection of the city defense formation. Looking at the purple-winged bat king not far away, he extended his right index finger forward and shot out a life-destroying finger. The deep red finger force crossed the space and appeared in front of the purple-winged bat king's eyebrows in a few flashes. The purple-winged bat king could not avoid such a sudden attack and had to use his strong demonic power to resist it. Hiss! After the harsh friction sound, the life-destroying finger was exhausted, and a trace of blood flowed from the purple-winged bat king's forehead. This attack successfully attracted the attention of the purple-winged bat king. It looked up at Lu Ya standing above, and its huge ears trembled twice. Then the demon power burst out. And the momentum comparable to the golden core level burst out with all its strength, and a strong pressure rushed towards Lu Ya. Lu Ya felt that the air was solidified in front of him. The golden core level demon king was indeed terrifying. This momentum alone was enough to suppress the foundation building cultivator, making him only exert 70% to 80% of his full strength. A violent and cold divine sense swept over unscrupulously, and a female voice that made Lu Ya feel cold all over as if he was falling into an ice cave sounded in Lu Ya's mind. Humans, all must die, with a true fire to protect his body and the kindling technique to protect his soul. This kind of pressure on the soul level only made Lu Ya feel a little heavier, and he didn't feel anything extra. The purple-winged bat king roared again, and invisible sound waves surrounded Lu Ya from all directions. The purple-winged bat king's natural attack and killing method, overclocking sound killing. Facing the sound waves that almost condensed into substance in the air, Lu Ya simply turned his right hand palm upwards and slowly opened it. As Lu Ya opened his palm, everyone seemed to hear a sharp whistle of a winter wind blowing through the wilderness. A gust of white wind whistled from the void, appeared beside Lu Ya, and went towards the purple-winged bat. Wherever the white wind passed, even the air was covered with a thick white color. Magical power, Guangmo wind. Guangmo wind whistled past, not only completely eliminating the sound waves of the purple-winged bat king, but also brought a large area of black clouds. In just a breath, the originally clear sky was completely blocked by black clouds, and the heavy black clouds pressed down. At this moment, everyone who looked up, looking at the gradually lowering black clouds, couldn't help but feel endless pressure in their hearts. Is the sky going to fall? Many monks stopped their palpitations, and couldn't help but crouch down, close to the ground, fearing that the sky would really fall. The purple-winged Bat King felt that as the black cloud got lower and lower, the demonic power in his body seemed to be out of control, as if it was being pressed down by a heavy object. Although it was struggling to fly in the air, it was still forced to gradually descend. In the sky, the rich mana in Liu Ya's Danshan surged out along with attraction, and more than half of his mana was consumed in an instant. The peak-level Chong Chun Gong was running to the limit, madly absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, trying its best to refine it into new mana, and replenishing it to the Danshan of the key sea that was about to dry up. Liu Ye looked down and saw that no one could stand upright under the black cloud, except the purple-winged Bat King who was still struggling hard in the low sky. So, he slowly turned his open palm. Hoo-hoo, the sound of the white wind became more and more urgent, and a little bit of rain began to fall mixed in the wind. Raindrops are tiny things, but the purple-winged Bat King felt that every raindrop seemed to contain a huge force. When it fell on its body, it was not only painful, but also an extremely cold air was madly drilling into its demon body. This wind is wrong, this rain is wrong, no, it's this space that is wrong. The purple-winged Bat King desperately burst out his demon power to fight against the increasingly dense and heavy wind and rain, and tried to rush out and escape from here. However, its flesh wings, which were usually as light as nothing, were now as heavy as 1,000 pounds. Every time it flapped its wings, it took up 100% of its strength. In its perception, it had flown at least dozens of miles away, but in the end it found that it had only moved a few hundred meters. The wind and rain became stronger and stronger, and the purple-winged Bat King could no longer hold on, and crashed into the ground with a boom. It struggled on the ground, but it could not get up again and fly into the sky. How can there be such a terrifying human race? He is clearly in the foundation building stage, only at the level of a demon general, it roared wildly in its heart. Under the attack of wind and rain, the purple-winged Bat King's movements became weaker and weaker, and his breath was like a candle in the wind, about to go out. Suddenly, the wind and rain disappeared, and the world became clear again. Liu Ye finally couldn't bear the terrible consumption of the ability to change the clouds and rain, and was forced to stop using this ability. Chapter 145 Killing the Demon King. Liu Ye propped himself up and slowly landed on the ground. As soon as he landed, he felt his legs soften and he couldn't help falling backwards. He secretly said not good in his heart, but there was nothing he could do. A large water chair quickly condensed behind him as he fell backwards. Liu Ye fell on the water chair, a little surprised in his heart, but he remained calm on the surface. Modu crossed the sky and appeared behind Liu Ye. The huge snake body coiled and circled, and the huge and ferocious snake head slowly fell down. The ink-like shadow completely enveloped Liu Ye. Young master is mighty, Modu's slightly flattering voice sounded softly in Liu Ye's ears. While the dog-leg, seeing Modu's behavior, everyone in the Liu family couldn't help but secretly admire in their hearts. In the eyes of everyone on the city wall, they saw that Liu Ye flipped his hand and the wind and clouds gathered. When the wind and clouds disappeared, the Demon King had already bowed his head. He sat leisurely on the chair condensed by the one-horned giant boa constrictor with an indifferent expression. In the eyes of Wenzai and the purple-winged Bat King who were facing Liu Ye head-on, Liu Ye's indifferent expression and powerful aura made them feel heavy in their hearts. Liu Ye looked at the purple-winged Bat King struggling in the mud, feeling a little sorry. In fact, if he was given a few more breaths of time, the Demon King's soul would be completely frozen, and his body would be wiped out by the icy rain. However, Liu Ye's cultivation could no longer sustain the consumption of these few breaths. The moment the purple-winged Demon King noticed that the wind and rain had disappeared, a ray of hope appeared in his desperate eyes. He flapped his wings vigorously and planned to escape from here with his broken body. As long as it escaped, the purple-winged Bat King swore that he would never come to this city again in his life, and never wanted to face this terrible human race again. No, he had to report to the demon god and let the demon god kill this human cultivator. After a few breaths, Liu Ye's exhausted body was reborn with mana. The purple-winged Bat King had also stood up shakily, backing away while flapping his wings. Just as it successfully flew off the ground, a crimson finger force broke through the space in front of it and hit its forehead silently. The crimson finger force appeared directly in front of him, and the feeling of death instantly enveloped the purple-winged Bat King. It tried its best to burst out its demonic power, making a sharp and piercing terrifying howl, trying to block the crimson finger force. Before it was injured, it could still block Liu Ye's finger of extinction, but at this moment, there was no possibility of blocking it at all. With a light puff sound, The huge body of the purple-clothed Demon King trembled, and fell heavily on the ground, and the demonic power all over his body began to disintegrate uncontrollably. A strand of life thread as thick as a hair emerged from the body of the purple-winged Bat King, and in an instant it was thrown into Luya's body and absorbed by the finger of extinction. The world was clear and everything was silent. The monks standing on the top of the city wall were like ducks with their necks pinched, their eyes wide open, their lips open wide, and they gasped unconsciously. Especially the monks who joined Yuan's city later, they had some doubts about Luya. A monk in the early stage of foundation building, becoming the city lord, and they usually behaved more casually. But now, looking at the corpse of the purple-winged Bat King lying at Luya's feet, they felt cold all over, and the flow of mana was faintly stagnant. This is a genuine third-level Demon King equivalent to Jinden's Henrun. As a result, it was so easily killed by Luya, a monk in the early stage of foundation building, without even a wave, let alone a trapped beast. Wait, the early stage of foundation building. The people on the city wall were shocked, and they finally realized how amazing Luya was. City Lord Lulu, he killed the Demon King. Bayushin was sweating coldly, and after wiping the cold sweat from his forehead with his sleeve, he still couldn't believe it. Fellow Taoist Bai, now you know why City Lord Lu was able to become the City Lord at such a young age, so that you usually look down on the City Lord. Beside him, a beautiful female cultivator wearing a bright red long skirt with a slit to the thigh glanced at him and said sarcastically, "You are such a vicious woman, you actually spit blood." Feeling the unkind eyes from the people around him, Bayushin trembled all over, his face flushed with anger, turned his head and glared at the female cultivator who was usually at odds with him, wishing to block her mouth, and loudly retorted, "Tanhuangyu, don't talk nonsense. I, Bayushin, respect City Lord Lu the most in my life. If it weren't for City Lord Lu's great mercy to take me and my clan in, I, Bai, might have buried my family in the mouth of the beast." When he was excited, he even bowed in the direction of Luya. When the Lu and Li family foundation building masters saw Bayushin say this, they retracted their gazes at him. Lu Dingbo and others jumped down from the top of the city wall and came to Luya's side. Facing the Demon King at close range, even if it was the corpse of the dead Demon King, they could still feel the strong pressure emanating from the corpse, which made their faces change again, and they looked at Luya with more respect. Luya leaned on the back of the chair, supported his elbows on the armrests, pinched his eyebrows with his fingers to relieve the pain in his eyebrows due to the intense mental consumption, and ordered with a normal look, "Carry the body of the Demon King to the mansion." As soon as the voice fell, Bayushin reacted very quickly, stepped out immediately, and responded loudly, "Respect the City Lord's order, flatterer." Tan Hongai rolled her eyes and took back the steps she wanted to take, because Bayushin and the other 4 foundation builders had already started to carry the body of the purple-winged Bat King. She looked at Luya leaning on the chair, intending to use her female advantage to press his shoulders, but just as she walked to Luya's side, before she stretched out her hand, she felt a cold gaze from the opposite side. She looked up and saw the female cultivator who was previously hunted looking at her coldly. Wenzai had now recovered to his height of 1.8 meters. He stood up with difficulty, looking at Luya with lingering fear and caution. He had also endured a small part of the previous wind and rain, and he almost thought he would die in this wind and rain. In fact, if Luya had not deliberately avoided him, he would have been a corpse at this time. Then Wenzai turned his head to look at Niuiao. The place where she stood was as dry as before, without any trace of wind and rain. "I am Wenzai, the current blood son of the blood refining sect. Thank you, the city lord, for saving my life." Although Luya looked younger than him, although Luya's cultivation was lower than his, and although Luya had just seen him die and almost killed him, Wenzai still did not dare to be disrespectful, and bowed respectfully to thank him. The blood refining sect has never been a blessed place. Wenzai did not know how many times he had experienced the drama of killing his fellow disciples. He could become a blood son, relying not only on his excellent talent and cultivation. Facing Luya, who could easily kill him, he naturally put himself in the position of a junior, and his words were as respectful as to Bayushin. "Dear friends, please remember to vote." Chapter 146, Celestial Pole Star. Luya looked at the blood refining sect's blood child who was bowing almost 90 degrees in front of him, with a little amusement on his face under his palm. You know, although he had intentionally controlled some of his power just now, he still almost killed him under the magical power of turning clouds and rain. However, Wenzai seemed not to notice, and his attitude was unexpectedly respectful. Lu Yu did not say anything, and Wen Zai maintained the posture of bending over and bowing. Although his body was shaking, he did not give up at all. The atmosphere was a little solemn. Lu Dingbo and others stood behind Lu Yang, holding their breath involuntarily, waiting for Lu Ya's next move. Now even if Lu Ya gave an order to keep Wen Zai here completely, they would rush up and kill him on the spot without hesitation. As time passed, the atmosphere became more and more solemn. A drop of sweat fell on Wen Zai's lowered face, reflecting his increasingly scarlet eyes. Suddenly, Lu Ya smiled lightly, and the solemn atmosphere suddenly disappeared, as if it had never existed. "You are too polite, Zuzi. I just did it casually." Wen Zai breathed a sigh of relief with his relaxed tone. He looked up and stood up. A silver object suddenly appeared in his hand. He handed it to Lu Ya respectfully and said, "City Lord Lu did it casually, but it saved my life. This object is called Xianji Star, which is an excellent material for casting magic weapons. I just got it not long ago. I hope City Lord Lu will not dislike it." Wen Zai looked at the Xianji Star in his hand and felt extremely heartbroken. Not to mention the Zulian sect, even if you add other large and small sects in Yanqi domain, you may not be able to find a second Xianji Star. Using it as the main material to sacrifice and refine it into a lifelong magic weapon is even more powerful. He has been doing sect tasks for a long time and asked his master to come forward to exchange it from the sect's secret library. He originally planned to wait until the mission was over, then return to the sect to prepare for the breakthrough of the golden elixir, and then sacrifice it to refine it into a life-saving magic weapon. With this life-saving magic weapon refined by Xianjixing, his combat power in the early stage of the golden elixir would not be weak. But at this moment, he had to take it out and hand it to Lu Ya, who was smiling at him, as a life-saving money. He had experienced this kind of look many times in his monastic career. Under the seemingly harmless expression, there was a murderous intent. Once his performance was not satisfactory to the other party, he would reveal the fangs hidden under the appearance. Lu Ya looked at the silver Xianjixing in Wen Zai's hand with some surprise. He didn't expect that this blood sun actually had such a precious refining material. He still knew about Xianjixing through the inheritance of Jiuduan Taoist, who called it one of the most suitable materials for the life-saving magic weapon. Although Xianjixing is light in texture, once it is refined into a magic weapon, it will automatically have the functions of size and weight as desired. Moreover, the unique recovery characteristics of Xianjixing also allow magic weapons to recover very quickly after being damaged. Any one of the above characteristics is a top-notch casting material, and Xianjixing has 3. The most important thing is that the magic weapons cast by Xianjixing naturally have the ability to advance. And with the help of precious materials, the magic weapons can continue to advance. All these have led to the extreme scarcity of Xianjixing. After being found, people often choose to use it themselves and will never trade it. Lu Ya looked at the Xianjixing in Wen Zai's hand and asked, "Xianjixing is not an ordinary material. Don't you feel bad to give it to me like this? It's worth it to be able to exchange this kind of external object for my next life." Wen Zai answered decisively without any hesitation, skipping the question of whether he felt bad or not. After Wen Zai answered, he felt a lightness in his hand, and then saw Xianjixing flying lightly towards Lu Ya, and finally held in his hand. Lu Ya shook it, then put it into the storage bag, and looked at Wen Zai again and said, "Zuzi has come from afar, let's go back to the city to rest." Wen Zai was embarrassed when he heard this, and explained, "Please forgive me, Lord City Lord, the task I am responsible for is extremely urgent, so I dare not delay at all." Lu Ya leaned forward and said seriously, "Zuzi should rest for a while, after all, you don't look like you can complete the task now." Wen Zai heard this and knew that he couldn't escape, so he had to bow and thank him again. Seeing him nod, Lu Ya turned to look at Li Shaoan. "Patriarch Li, please take Zuzi to rest." Li Shaoan's scalp was about to explode. Although Wen Zai looked like he was grateful to Lu Ya, he was actually a Zuzi who had fought out of a demon sect like the blood refining sect. Facing such a person, for him, a small cultivator in the middle stage of foundation building, it was no less than being with a tiger. However, Wen Zai smiled at him kindly and said, "I'll trouble you, Li Daoyao, to lead the way." No, please, Zuzi." Li Shaoan forced himself to remain calm, smiled stiffly, and then led Wen Zai to the city. After Wen Zai left, Lu Ya looked at Niuai Ao, who was standing not far away. At this time, her yin-yang mask was broken at one corner, and the dress robe she was wearing was full of wrinkles. Her bare jade feet were no longer in the air, but stepped on the dark ground, like a snow lotus that had experienced wind and rain. The two looked at each other like this, and neither of them moved. However, in the next second, Lu Ye felt that the water chair he was sitting on shook slightly, and then he was surprised to see the water chair floating in the air and drifting towards Niuiao. Modu was behind Lu Ye, carefully controlling the water chair, thinking happily that the young master would look at me with new eyes this time, and I, Modu, still understood the young master's mind best. Modu, what are you doing? Lu Ye looked at Niuiao, who was getting closer and closer, and couldn't help but ask loudly through voice transmission. Stop it now. Modu's breath was choked, and the water chair stopped abruptly in the air. What's wrong, young master? Lu Ye looked at Niuiao, who was less than 20 meters away, sighed, and said, forget it, you continue. Okay, young master. Modu heard that and pushed the water chair again. So, Lu Ye maintained his current leaning posture and was pushed in front of Niuiao by Modu. If he was not really unable to move now, he would have broken his legs by Modu. Niuiao looked at Lu Ye, who was embarrassed, and a flash of smile appeared in her eyes filled with yin and yang. City Lord Lu, long time no see. Something is happening. Lu Dingbo and others who were standing not far away, after hearing Niuiao speak, their eyes immediately focused like spotlights, and they all listened attentively, not wanting to miss any information. Lu Ye looked at Niuiao and replied calmly, long time no see, Saint Nai, it's still a saint. Lu Dinghe and Lu Dingbo looked at each other, and looked at Niuiao with more satisfaction. Originally, they were still worried about their grandson's life, but now it seems that this kid is not an easy person to deal with. Everyone, remember to vote. Chapter 147 Blood River Giant Body Technique. If Lu Ye knew what his two grandfathers were thinking, they would definitely sneer. If they knew that this saint girl they were very satisfied with was from the Yin-Yang demon sect, they might not be so satisfied. After a simple dialogue, the atmosphere between the two fell into silence again. Lu Dingbo and Lu Dinghe finally realized that the atmosphere between the two was not right. Lu Dingbo winked at Lu Dinghe, and Lu Dinghe was about to step forward to say something. Lu Ye didn't know why, but he suddenly said, Tan Huangao, take Saint Girl Nai to rest. Hearing this, Niuiao swallowed the word she was about to say, looked at Lu Ye deeply, and then followed Tan Huangao to Yang's city. Hey! Lu Dinghe let out a light exclamation and hurried to Lu Ye's side. Lu Ye, what's wrong with you? You treat people like this when you meet old friends. Lu Ye looked at Lu Dinghe with an earnest look on his face, and couldn't help rolling his eyes. Naturally, he understood what his third grandfather was thinking. He explained, Third grandfather, if you don't know the reason, don't worry about it. After hearing what Lu Ye said, Lu Dinghe turned around and looked at Niuiao, who was leaving, and nodded. Seeing this, Lu Ye sent a message to Modu. Modu, go back to the mansion. Modu immediately took off into the air, carrying the water chair and flying towards the city lord's mansion on the top of the mountain. Seeing this, the others also returned to the city, and the city defense formation once again enveloped the entire city. Back at the city lord's mansion, Lu Ye sat cross-legged on the 1,000-year-old warm jade. Under the nourishment of spiritual energy, the severe pain in his body finally got some relief. Half a day later, Lu Ye opened his eyes, and the severe pain in his meridians and soul caused by excessive consumption had recovered by more than half. Feeling the mana in his body refilled, he breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't expect the power of the turning clouds and rain to be so terrible that a demon king in the middle stage of the third stage couldn't even make any waves in it, Lu Ye thought to himself. When he used the ability to turn the clouds and rain, he was just trying to test its power. But once he used it, he could hardly stop. His mana surged out like a flood. If he hadn't forcibly interrupted his mana when it was exhausted, even his own spirit would have been sucked dry by this ability. However, after this test, Lu Ye realized that this ability, which he had combined 3 spells, was much more powerful than he had expected. Moreover, he also knew that this was not the ultimate power of the ability to turn the clouds and rain, because the power of thunder had not yet appeared in it. But Lu Ye also knew that with his current cultivation, he could not show the power of thunder in the ability to turn the clouds and rain. If he used it forcibly, he would either be sucked dry or killed by the backlash of the spell. If the power of thunder can be stimulated, 1 or 2 thunders may kill him completely, Lu Ye guessed silently. Then, he recalled the means of changing the shape and size at will shown by Wen Zai in the previous battle. Inform Wenzai, Zuzi, to come to the city lord's mansion for a chat. At the gate of the city lord's mansion, the gatekeeper monk who was patrolling everywhere was shocked, bowed respectfully in the direction of Lu Yan, turned around and flew down the mountain quickly. A quarter of an hour later, in the side hall of the city lord's mansion, Lu Yan sat on the seat of the city lord, looking at Wenzai who came from outside. Wenzai greets City Lord Lu. Wenzai stepped into the side hall and saw Lu Yan sitting on a chair, so he spoke respectfully. Zuzi, please sit down. Lu Yan pointed to the seat beside him with one hand. After waiting for Wenzai to sit down, Lu Yan said, this time I invited Zuzi to come here, because of some selfish reasons of mine. I want to ask Zuzi for advice. Lu Yan looked at Wenzai with a burning gaze, and although his tone was kind, it was full of unquestionable meaning. It's not a question of asking for advice. I don't know what City Lord Lu wants to know, and I will definitely tell you everything I know, Wenzai said immediately. Lu Yan nodded and asked, I saw you as big as a mountain, and now I see you suddenly become much smaller. May I ask how did you do it? After that, Lu Yan looked at Wenzai, waiting for his answer. If he could understand the principle, then Lu Yan would have the possibility to reproduce one of the signature magical powers in the myths and legends of his previous life, the law of heaven and earth. Wenzai looked embarrassed, but under Lu Yan's smiling eyes, he gritted his teeth and began to explain. City Lord Lu, you don't know that this is a secret technique unique to our blood refining sect, the Blood River Giant Body Technique. When combined with our blood refining sect skills, you can freely control the size of your body. When your body grows, your physical and magical powers will also grow. When you practice to a very deep level, it can even grow 5 times as much. And when you are fatally injured, due to the effect of the skills, you can keep yourself intact at the cost of your physical and magical powers, but your body will shrink, and your physical body and magical powers will also decline to a certain extent. After hearing what Wenzai said, Lu Yan's interest immediately increased. Then he continued to ask questions, and Wenzai answered them one by one, and even demonstrated it to Lu Yan several times in person. Finally, Wenzai recovered to a body of about 2.5 meters, and said in a dull voice, now my secret technique has only been cultivated to the 2nd level. My body is stable at this height and can maintain a 1-fold increase. Lu Yan exclaimed, this is also very terrifying. It is worthy of being a top sect. After a pause, Lu Yan asked again, I wonder if this secret technique can be borrowed for me to see. Then he added, because I am really curious, I only see the secret technique, and I will never interfere with the core practice. Lu Yan knew that such a big force would definitely make a lot of restrictions on the core practice of the sect. Even if the people who practiced a practice wanted to say or write it, it was basically impossible. Wenzai nodded immediately and said, this secret technique is considered a first-class secret technique in the blood refining sect, but because it is extremely difficult to practice, it cannot be practiced by those who are not gifted and highly compatible. I will talk to City Lord Lu about it. After a while, Lu Yan was satisfied, and Wenzai also walked out of the side hall. After walking out of the side hall, Wenzai looked back at the side hall and then walked away. Lu Yan carefully pondered the Blood River Giant Body secret technique described by Wenzai, and then recorded it on the jade slip. Recalling Wenzai's last words, City Lord Lu, the Blood River Giant Body technique must be practiced with the core skills of our sect. Do not try to practice it directly, otherwise it is very easy to go astray. After the storm is over, you can come to our blood refining sect at that time, when we'll definitely take you to the secret technique pavilion to see it. Blood River Giant Body technique. It's interesting. Lu Yan tapped the handrail with his index finger, again and again, echoing in the palace. It seems that I must go to the blood refining sect if I have the chance, but I don't know what it will be like then. Everyone, remember to vote. Chapter 148 Lu Dinghei's Wedding. 3 days passed in a flash. Lu Yan sat cross-legged on the roof of the city lord's mansion, watching the light gradually disappearing in the distance. Wenzai left, and Niuiao also left. From beginning to end, Lu Yan did not say even a word to Niuiao. Everything, after that greeting, was completely turned over by Lu Yan. Lu Dingbo and others were heartbroken about this. Because Lu Yan understood that he and Niuiao were not from the same world, and everything that happened before was just a last resort to survive. To be honest, Niuiao wanted to turn him into her slave, which would be a life and death feud for anyone. Lu Yan may have covered up this matter because he had taken her essence, but it did not mean that he could pretend that nothing had happened and fantasize about renewing his relationship with Niuiao. He could only try to ignore it. As for the future, if the other party still did not know whether to live or die, Liu Ye would not hesitate to take action. Retracting his gaze, Liu Ye looked inward. The mana in the Qi and Danshan surged, and the Dao Foundation suppressed the bottom of the Danshan like a magic needle that stabilized the sea. Above the Qi, a deep red cloud flew around under the blowing of the white wind, and the fire core of the sun's true fire enveloped his soul. Everything was a manifestation of supernatural powers. The foundation of the heavenly Dao has made my foundation extremely solid. Even if the mana was exhausted before, with this Dao Foundation suppressing it, my Qi and Danshan did not feel any pressure, but recovered the mana very quickly, Liu Ye thought in his heart. The advantages of the heavenly Dao Foundation were slowly revealed in front of him as he practiced. In the area below Yang's city, cultivators and mortals came and went. Everyone would involuntarily look towards the city gate as they walked, and the amazement in their eyes was not concealed. At the city gate, a hairless and hideous bat head was hung above the city gate, as if telling something to the passers-by coming and going. In 3 days, because Liu Ye killed the Jinden-level Demon King, the security environment in Yang's city suddenly improved a lot. The arrogant and domineering troublemakers now follow the rules set by Yang's city. You said our city lord is in the early stage of foundation building, and you are deceiving us as 3-year-old children, right? Who said it's not? I heard that the city lord is also a real person at the Jinden level. Don't look at him so young, his real age is at least 300 years old. Wow, a veritable old monster. No wonder he killed the Jinden Demon King so easily. Such discussions are everywhere. As the news of the Yang city lord killing the Jinden Demon King spread, even though it was winter and the wind and snow stopped from time to time, more and more cultivators and mortals came to Yang's city. In these 3 days alone, more than 50 cultivators settled in Yang's city, and the number of mortals also increased by hundreds. These are the foundations of the future. Lu Dingbo has been busy these days, trying to do everything well. The rise of the family was earlier than he expected. He never expected that Liu Ye, who was only in the early stage of foundation building, had the combat power to kill Jinden-level monsters. If this kind of news spread, it would definitely scare a lot of people to death, but it would also attract some unnecessary attention. Therefore, most of the rumors in the city were spread by people arranged by Lu Dingbo. The purpose is only one, to muddy the water. Because Liu Ye has always been low-key, there are basically not many people who know Liu Ye's true cultivation. Now he has made Liu Ye's true cultivation virtual, to prevent people with ulterior motives from discovering this and thus harming Liu Ye. As for the Li family, they know the true situation of Liu Ye, and Lu Dingbo has a better way to deal with it. Lu Dinghe and Li Yangsu have long intended to become Taoist couples. Lu Dingbo took the opportunity to raise this matter to Li Xiaozi. After asking Li Yangsu's opinion, Li Xiaozi readily agreed. As the first family to form an alliance with the Lu family, they witnessed the rise of Liu Ye with their own eyes. Li Xiaozi understood that as long as Liu Ye was not dead, the future of the Lu family would definitely reach a height that the Li family could not reach. Although the Lu and Li families had formed an alliance before, it was a stopgap measure to fight against the beast tide. Now that there is an opportunity for the two families to further their relationship, Li Xiaozi will naturally not let it go. As for the risk of the family's important combat power flowing out, they are all in the same city, and they can advance and retreat together, so this is no longer a big deal. The most important thing is that if they really encounter any danger, they will feel more at ease with Liu Ye as their own person, and the chance of survival is also greater. The date was set. It will be on the first day of next month, and there are still 15 days to make arrangements. With the order issued by the ruler of Yang's city, the entire Yang's city, from the foundation building cultivators to the mortal children, all knew that Lu Dinghe, the foundation building cultivator of the Lu family, to whom the city lord of Yang's city belongs, was going to form a Taoist couple with Li Yangsu, the foundation building cultivator of the ally Li family. All of a sudden, the whole Yang's city began to get busy for this. With a participation of nearly 10,000 people, the venue for Lu Dinghe and Li Yangsu to become Taoist couples was set up at an astonishing speed. On the last day of the month, every household in Yang's city was decorated with lights and red lanterns hung on both sides of the road, and the atmosphere was full of festivity. The next day was the first day of December. Lu Dinghe was wearing a festive red robe, a brocade gauze hat, cloud-patterned pine boots, and a first-level top-grade magic sword emitting a rich red flame on his waist, which looked very imposing. This magic sword was made by Liu Ye himself, and it can be called the best of the best first-level top grade. In the Lu clan's land, Lu Ya stood beside Lu Dinghe, watching several female relatives take care of Lu Ding's clothes, and couldn't help but smile. It was the first time he saw a mixture of embarrassment, expectation, etc. on the face of his third grandfather. However, after being nourished by the foundation-building magic power, Lu Dinghe has recovered to the appearance of about 40 years old. He is tall and strong, with strong muscles. With his thick eyebrows and big eyes, he is full of mature manliness, no longer the emaciated appearance at the beginning. "It's getting late, it's time to set off," someone shouted outside the door. So, the tribesmen who were crowded in Lu Dinghe's room began to cheer and walk out. Outside the door, 5 flying boats have stopped in the open space. Lu Dinghe took the lead to walk onto the flying boat in the front, and Lu Ya and other juniors followed closely and boarded the flying boat. Among them, Xia Luabo struggled to carry a stack of yellow paper talismans. With her small arms and short legs, she couldn't climb onto the flying boat that was 1 foot above the ground. In the end, Lu Yu reached out and lifted her onto the flying boat. As soon as she was lifted onto the flying boat, Xia Luabo leaned on the flying boat without any image, holding the yellow paper talisman in her arms. "Little radish, why don't you put down the talisman and climb up first?" "No, this is for third grandpa to give to third grandma." Little Radish can't get it dirty. Little Radish's chubby face was unusually serious. Dear all, remember to vote. Chapter 149 Planning. The flying boat crossed half of the city and took Li Yangxu back to Lu's family in a grand manner. With a greeting, the Taoist couple ceremony was finally concluded. Beside Lu Yang was carrying a first-grade top-grade magic sword with a smile on his face. "What a joke, you are almost 25 years old, and you are still so unruly all day long." Lu Tong glared at Lu Yang. "Don't hold your sword like a treasure all day long. If you have time, go out and have a look. There are so many girls of marriageable age in the city, don't you like any of them?" Lu Yang was scolded by his father, and the smile on his face gradually shifted to the faces of Lu Ya and others. After Lu Tong finished speaking, he said again with a feeling of unfulfilled desire, "Look at your second brother, he has not married because you, the eldest brother, have stopped him. Otherwise, according to Lu Ya's excellence, he could have waited until now." Lu Yu was sweating in his heart, and secretly sent a message to Lu Yang, "Brother, you must hold on. I don't want to get married so early." Lu Yang was relieved to see his father shift his attention to Lu Ya, but he didn't expect to receive Lu Ya's message. "Second brother, it's not a question of whether I can hold on or not, it's mainly because it's difficult to obey my father's order," Lu Yang replied with embarrassment. "Brother, I see that you only have a long sword, which is very dangerous in the world of cultivation. It just so happens that I have time recently. Why don't we discuss and customize a defensive magic weapon for you?" Lu Yu knew what he was thinking, and said directly. "Ahem, second brother is right. How can we, as cultivators, waste our time on love affairs?" Lu Yang looked upright. If this conversation was heard by the elders of the Lu family, they might break their legs. 10 days have passed since the marriage between the Lu and Li clans, and the lively atmosphere in Yong City is still lingering. Lu Ya sat in the quiet room, practicing tirelessly. As his experience in Chongqing increased, his practice speed increased instead of decreasing. Although the practice in the foundation building stage was much more difficult, Lu Ya did not have this problem. The only thing that limited his ability to improve his cultivation was time. Now that the human race and the demon race in Yankee domain were at war, the originally stable life was gone forever, and time was exactly what Lu Ya lacked the most now. The Chongqing in the key training stage is still a little insufficient. I heard that Chongqing also has the practice of the foundation building chapter, and the practice speed is more suitable for cultivators in the foundation building stage. I don't know if my current experience will be cleared if I switch to the foundation building chapter. Lu Ya opened his eyes, a little dissatisfied with the current practice speed. And I also need a second-level defensive method. So far, I have 4 magical powers for attacking, but I must pay attention to defense, Lu Ya secretly calculated in his heart. In addition, there is the earth control method among the 4 basic methods, which I have not obtained so far. Lu Ya has always kept the earth control method in mind, but due to the current situation of Yang Kitao, he has not had the time to search for it, and it has been delayed until now. He always feels that there is a big secret hidden behind these 4 basic Taoist methods, but he has not discovered it so far. To put it another way, Even if there is no hidden secret, it is also a magical power, and he cannot ignore it. There is no need to say more about the power of the magical power. Lu Yue was able to cross a major realm with the strength of the initial stage of foundation building and kill the Jinden-level Demon King, which is enough to explain it. However, in the conversation with Wenzai later, Lu Yue learned that the purple-winged Bat King had just given birth and his strength had greatly decreased. He also chased them for a day and a night, and was seriously injured by their endless methods. So the Demon King Lu Yue faced was already in its worst state. But even if it is in a bad state, it is still a genuine Demon King. Lu Yue was able to kill it, which proved that he has the combat power of the Jinden level. Moreover, not every Jinden real person can deal with a Demon King of the same level. Speaking of this, there is still a lot to do. Lu Yue rubbed his fingers unconsciously. According to Wenzai, affected by the beast tide, the main city of the Yin-Yang Holy Sect is currently the most prosperous and popular cultivation trading market, and it is located in the rear area, so there is no need to worry about being attacked by the demons. It seems that it is time to take time to go there. If nothing else, at least the foundation building period of skills and defense Taoism must be solved, and there is also the earth control technique. As the largest cultivation city in Yankee, there should be such low-level Taoism for sale. Lu Yue silently made up his mind in his heart that he would go to the main city of the Yin-Yang Holy Sect in the near future to make some purchases. But before that, it is best to break through to the 4th level of foundation building, so that even if you encounter any danger, you can have 2 more points of self-protection. Although Lu Yue now has a fighting power comparable to that of a Jinden's Henren, the difference between humans and monsters is too great. Monsters are born with strong bodies and rarely use spells. The occasional spells they use are mostly inherited spells passed down in their blood memories. But the human race is different. Human cultivators will practice various means of attack and killing, especially when they reach the Jinden stage. Their lifespan is long. In addition to practicing, learning spells is also a major direction in the long years. So Lu Yue really can't judge what kind of situation he will encounter after encountering a Jinden-level cultivator. Therefore, no matter how cautious he is, it is not too much. In other words, when dealing with people, those who are not careful may have been swallowed whole by others with skin and bones. Lu Yue finished thinking, exhaled a breath of turbid air, and stood up from the 1,000-year-old warm jade. He checked the skill panel, Realm, Foundation Building Level 3. 24/100, I have completed a quarter of the Foundation Building Level 3. In 7 months, I will be able to enter the middle stage of foundation building. Lu Yue thought to himself, once I reach the middle stage of foundation building, my mana and spiritual awareness will be comparable to those of the late stage of foundation building. In this way, I will be more relaxed in terms of the consumption of magical powers. At present, there are a total of 12 people in the foundation building in Yang's city. There are 4 people from the Lu family, including the monster Modu, 5 from the Li family, Chun Man Lao's mother, Bai Yushin, the ancestor of the Bai family, and Tan Huangyu, the lone cultivator. Among them, only Li Xiaozi is in the late stage of foundation building, and the rest are either in the middle stage or in the late stage. In this way, the strength of the Li family is also very strong among the foundation building families. Set a small goal and strive to break through to the 4th level of foundation building within half a year. At that time, I will go to the main city of Yin-Yang Holy Sect to collect the necessary items. Lu Yue rubbed his fingers and said that he was quite satisfied with his speed. He suddenly remembered something, walked out of the quiet room, and walked towards another hall in the city lord's mansion. It was converted into a weapon refining room, which was used by Lu Yue for refining weapons. Cultivation is important, and practicing all arts cannot be neglected. Although Lu Yue no longer needs to rely on refining weapons to make money, with a skill, it is much more convenient for him to make magic weapons or other things. I am a little stuck, and I need to sort out the threads in the next 2 days. Please forgive me. Chapter 150 Fried Show Dao. In the refining room, Lu Yue walked to a purple gold double-eared red copper furnace in the center of the hall. This furnace is one of the most valuable relics of Yang's city. Because it is connected to the ground fire by a formation, it cannot be taken away for a while. It was left behind by the owner at that time in the beast tide and was finally confiscated into the city lord's mansion. As a second-level top-grade refining furnace, its value is much more valuable than a second-level top-grade magic weapon. Lu Yu took out the Xianji star from the storage bag, and the bright silver light immediately illuminated the entire hall. Then Lu Ya flipped his hand, and a black and white bead appeared, which was the Jiaxiao pearl. At this time, the Jiaxiao pearl has been completely rendered into a chaotic color, which means that the Jiaxiao pearl has accumulated 1,000 years of life. In fact, before the purple-winged Bat King, the Jiaxiao pearl still lacked nearly 50 years of life. But after Lu Ya killed the purple-winged Bat King, the Jiaxiao pearl absorbed a large amount of lifespan, and actually directly filled up the last 50 years, which made Lu Ya sigh that the quality of the Jinden-level monsters is high. Originally, Lu Ya planned to slowly collect materials and forge the magic weapon. But he didn't expect to encounter top-level materials such as Xianjixing. Now, there is no need to look for other precious materials. He can directly use Xianjixing for forging. The final quality will definitely exceed the power described in the inheritance. Lu Ya flicked his finger, and a golden red beam fire jumped into the red copper furnace. In the blink of an eye, a raging flame rose from the furnace. The terrifying high temperature scorched the furnace wall, and a wave of heat came to his face. After repeatedly recalling the forging process in his mind until he was sure that every detail was correct, Lu Ya took a deep breath and began to forge. The casting of this magic weapon is difficult and simple. The main difficulty is the collection of thousands of years of life. Don't underestimate this 1,000 years of life. In any other place, there would be no such number of monsters for Lu Ya to kill and collect. If he kills a human cultivator, then after he has accumulated 1,000 years of lifespan, Lu Ya will already be a demon with heinous crimes. And there is a high probability that he will not live to the day when he has accumulated 1,000 years of lifespan. Lu Ya was able to collect so quickly, and the monsters that died at his hands were enough to pile up a mountain, which could be called a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. As the materials were put in, melted, and fused one by one, after all the other auxiliary materials were put in, Lu Ya threw the Xianji star in his hand directly into the sun's true fire. As soon as the Xianji star entered the true fire, it burst into a dazzling bright silver light, as if resisting the burning of the true fire. For a moment, the bright silver and the golden red were indistinguishable. However, the bright silver light is rootless water after all. Under the continuous calcination of the sun's true fire, the bright silver light of the Xianji star was gradually forced back into the body by the sun's true fire, and then gradually began to melt. Lu Ya was relieved until the Xianji star completely turned into a ball of liquid and merged into the auxiliary materials. This most difficult step was finally completed. When the material was completely calcined, Lu Ya took out a ball of lead-gray liquid rolling in the sun's true fire, and the invisible power of the divine consciousness turned into a heavy hammer, constantly hitting the lead-gray liquid. At the same time, his hands kept forming seals, and one seal after another was continuously hid into the liquid. Gradually, the lead-gray liquid gradually turned into the shape of a long sword. Dang! The liquid turned into semi-solid and fell on the forging table with a crisp sound. Lu Ya swung the forging hammer and began the final step. The longevity bead also flew over the long sword at this moment. Every time Lu Ya swung the forging hammer, a wisp of chaotic energy fell from the longevity bead and was absorbed by the long sword. Continuously hammering and absorbing life. After absorbing most of the life, Lu Ya put down the forging hammer. In front of him at this moment was a knife with a special shape. The back of the knife was dark and thick, and it continued to spread and shrink towards the tip of the knife, forming a sharp and cruel tip. The tip of the knife was bright and thin, and its arc was like a waning moon. The entire blade extending from the tip of the knife was a line of dazzling brightness, just like the clouds in the sky, extremely far and thin, yet real. At the handle of the knife, 3 wing-like blade tips extended one after another, like curved barbs, which protected the palm while being more lethal. Upon closer observation, Lu Ya discovered that there were also many tiny sawtooth-like barbs on the blade, which were extremely fierce. This was a murderous and bloodthirsty fierce knife. The first time Lu Ya saw it, such a thought emerged in his mind. In fact, it was true. At the moment the knife was formed, a clanging sound that chilled the bone marrow was heard, and a suction force burst out from the blade, pulling down the longevity bead suspended above the long knife. It fell on the blade, and the chaotic energy in it was quickly drained by the blade. In the end, even the longevity beads themselves were completely drained by the knife. After the last wisp of chaotic energy was absorbed by the long sword, the entire blade began to vibrate violently, and a louder and louder sound resounded throughout the weapon refining room, and the invisible sword energy spread in all directions. Click, a broad hand with distinct joints slowly grasped the handle of the sword, and the blade became still, followed by an increasingly crazy sound. All the sword energy that permeated the palace seemed to have found its prey, and all shot towards Liu Yao. Liu Yao snorted coldly, and the magic power in his hand mixed with blood continued to be poured into the blade. After 3 breaths, the long sword stopped humming and lay quietly in Liu Yao's hand. Gathering the essence of the sun and the moon, gathering 1,000 years of life, and taking the extreme of heaven as the bottom, the giant Shao sword is now complete. Liu Yao gently stroked the blade of the giant Shao sword, and a piercing coldness came from his fingertips. Reducing lifespan, decaying the body, attacking the soul, it is worthy of being the magic weapon left by Senior Jiuduan. The power is too terrifying. Liu Yao waved twice, and a wisp of knife energy swept across the ground engraved with the formation, leaving a series of shallow marks, which made him quickly extinguish the idea of continuing to test. The giant Shao knife, which is made with Xianji Star as the main element, is more than enough as my life magic weapon, Liu Yao thought in his heart, and then made up his mind. His face suddenly turned red, and then a little blood was forced out of his body and merged into the blade of giant Shao knife. At the same time, Liu Yao sat cross-legged, used his magic power, and began to refine. Half a day later, Liu Yao stood up, and giant Shao knife had disappeared without a trace. Liu Yao opened his mouth, and a ray of cold light flew out, turning into a 4-foot giant Shao knife held in Liu Yao's hand. Then he moved his mind, and giant Shao knife turned into a stream of light and flew back into his mouth. Then, the long sword came out directly from his palm, as if it grew out of his hand. Liu Yao danced twice and found it was very smooth, without any stagnation, just like an extension of his arm. This is the advantage of the life magic weapon. Compared with ordinary magic weapons that are controlled by mana, the life magic weapon is an extension of the cultivator's body and is directly controlled by the cultivator. Whether it is flexibility or power, there will be a significant increase. Finally sorted it out, I will resume normal updates tomorrow. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.